Tuesday, February 7th to order. Thank you everybody for being here at our school board meeting. Today's invocation will be led by lead minister James Book from Kissimmee Christian Church. Our Pledge of Allegiance will be led by Gary Dunn, principal at Discovery Intermediate. Our national anthem will be performed by Fabiola Beltran, student at Harmony High School. And our mission statement will be read by Ashley Webb, assistant principal of Discovery Intermediate. After that, Dr. Lestenia Peñalosa, as always, will be available for interpretation services if needed. If you would, please stand with me for the invocation.
Thank you. Let's pray. Our gracious Heavenly Father, we take full advantage of these moments because in a free country we can, and we thank you for that. We thank you for the opportunity to have discourse with our school board representatives in regard to the best way to function at a high level with our schools and our teachers and our administrators and our students. Thank you, Lord, for the fact that we can come to you and ask for you to intercede on behalf of our school board. They beseech you for wisdom and direction, Father, because they understand, like all of us, that we cannot possibly govern effectively without divine intervention. So we call upon you for wisdom, for direction, as decisions are made that will directly affect our student body, our teachers, our administrators, our taxpayers, and our students, Father. This is our prayer. In the precious name of Jesus Christ. Amen. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we held at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does the star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
The mission of the Osceola County School District is inspiring all learners to reach their highest potential as responsible, productive citizens.
Good evening, my name is Dr. Lestenia Peñalosa, and I am here to provide interpretation services. Buenas noches, mi nombre es la doctora Lestenia Peñalosa, y estoy aquí para proveer servicios interpretativos.
Thank you to everybody who participated in that. We will go ahead and move on to positive comments from our board members. I will go ahead and get started with Mr. Melendez.
Okay, thank you. Do I have Miss Valerie Martinez from Thacker Avenue Elementary? Come on down. If you have any staff with you too, you can go ahead. It's amazing because, a lot of times we're always recognizing teachers and everything and students, but sometimes we got to recognize amazing principals. And we just had we had a meeting this morning talking about our goals, and part of what we want to do is maintain discipline and command and control of our schools. And I tell you what, being on the expulsion hearings is not only a requirement of what the state statute requires us as board members to do, it's a job that it takes seriously, protecting the safety of all of our students. And I tell you what, I've seen plenty of videos where there's a fight, immediately, whoosh, there's like 20,000 kids, and it's just natural. They take out their cell phone, they clog up a hallway, they clog up a cafeteria. They're just like, it's crazy. And I could not believe it. I saw a fight in your school, and there's a kid eating a cookie. And he just still kept eating his cookie. I was like, holy moly. I mean, everybody stated what they were supposed to do. I mean, it was an unfortunate incident regardless. I mean, there's things that are beyond our control, but we're here as a school board to support you. And I tell you what, when I saw those students just behaving excellently, not adding to the issue, not trying to record, not trying to egg on the fight, I mean, to me, that's just exemplary of the leadership of your style, Ms. Martinez, and that your staff, because it's not just you. I'm pretty sure your staff has to, it goes downhill. So bad things go downhill, but also great things happen downhill. And that's why me as a school board member, especially one that goes out to the expulsion hearings and just really wants to support staff, I just want to let you know from the bottom of my heart, I really appreciate the fact that you got your kids down. Oh, they're so great. And so with that, we want to give you an acknowledgement. And of course, a little Amazon gift card. If you want to buy stuff for the staff instead of for you, that was the hard part. Do I give it to the principal or just, I just have this little fun to be out there? And if you want to say anything, or do you want to say anything on behalf of your principal?
I'm grateful to work with Valerie.
Thank you. No, I absolutely. Our staff has been amazing. We've been doing a lot of restorative practices with the teachers and our school counselors. This is one of our school counselors as well. So they absolutely do an amazing job in the classroom and to ensure that the students understand what's important and their safety is important too. So thank you.
Thank you. So please congratulate my team. Is OTEC here, Ms. Collins, or like a student here? In the back? Do you know if she's here yet, or? Oh, the student? Yes. Ms. Horn? All right, yeah. Well, come on down, Claire. All right. Come on down. I'm too bad. I mean, everyone's busy doing things, but we really appreciate it. This one means a lot. Folks that are maybe not football fans became football fans. DeMar Hamlin's a safety for the Buffalo Bills, and he's the one that passed out on the field. And CPR and emergency first responders went ahead and saved this gentleman's life. And so he has an initiative out there, challenging folks to try to get CPR certification and first aid, awareness out there. And so as a school board member, I took that very seriously because, again, even if you're a football fan or not, the fact that somebody dedicated their life to help others, that's what we do in the education field. Our teachers dedicate to help students. Our first responders in our healthcare field does the same as well. And so, I'm sorry, I don't have your complete backstory. I know your teacher was there, but I told him, give me somebody that really chose why they wanted to be a healthcare member. Because a lot of times, again, we're an education institution. We love our teachers, but at the same token, I'm a combat medic myself, and I know what it's like to go out there and help others before you think about yourself. So with that, do you want to share your story real quick about why you wanted to be a healthcare, in the healthcare field in general? And by the way, she goes to OTEC right away. She's in our program.
Thank you. I'm at OTEC. I started August in the Licensed Practical Nursing program, and I swore for my entire childhood that I would never be a nurse like my mom. But when my dad got sick with cancer from job-related issues, I fell in love with taking care of him, and so I decided that it actually might be the best route for me, and my mom's been so helpful, and I love the program, and CPR is so cool, and I think everyone should be certified in it.
Thank you. Where's Mama here? Mom, come on, Mom, get in there. And I think Commissioner Booth, Ricky Booth, right? He's the one that started the AEDs in every classroom. So I'm proud to announce that the school board. Oh, no, every school. I'm sorry. So that wasn't me. So I can't take credit for it. And I knew Ricky Booth was Tarrant County Commissioner. That was one of his initiatives to ensure that an AED is on every campus. We play games and things like that. That unfortunate events do happen.
Yeah.
So, but thank you for that.
Thank you so much.
Oh, here's your card.
Thank you. Thank you, guys.
That's my final one.
Mr. Arguello?
Yeah, so I wanted to send out a special thank you to all of the support personnel who converted. We learned this morning that about 150 converted from some kind of support role into a teacher role. And so our support people are very unique in that they have a very good idea of what's going on in the classroom, and when they choose to do it, they're doing it from total knowledge and commitment. It's not like you're coming from college with all these hopes and dreams about what it's going to be. You really know what it's going to be all about, and they did it. So we had 150, so kudos to them. And then I just wanted very quickly to say happy birthday to my wife and happy anniversary to my wife in the same week. I love you, and thank you for all the support that you've given me. That's all.
Thank you so much. Mrs. Booth?
Okay, yes, I have a couple positive comments. First of all, I had a great chance to celebrate Literacy Week. I was invited by Canoe Creek K-8 and Eastlake Elementary School to read to kindergarten, first and fourth graders, and I love doing that, coming to the schools and having a chance to interact with the students, so that was wonderful. I know both schools had their book fairs going on, so there was a lot of different activities happening, and kudos to the staff and to our media specialists, to our teachers, support staff that help put those on to get those kids reading and getting the families engaged as well. Also, I wanted to give a shout out. I had a chance to visit our future support staff and teacher through Positively Osceola and the Draper Law Firm as community partners. Harmony High School, we had a chance to celebrate Miss Bowser, who is a wonderful leader at the front desk when you come into the school. She is amazing, does a lot of hard work there, and had a chance to celebrate her. And as well, a shout out to Miss O'Boyle, who's a teacher over at Harmony Community School. Also on February 1st, that is the National Signing Day. And so there was an article in the News Gazette, but also I had a chance to take a look and see on February 1st, 8 combined seniors from Harmony High School and Osceola High School signed on with athletics and to pursuing their careers in sports in the college. And I want to give a good shout out to Amanda Whalen and Tyler Emmons at Harmony High School. Congratulations, and I'm so excited for you both. Also, I had a chance to go last week for a work session in partnership with our local college access network, Uplift Ed, at Valencia College. We had a chance to have a good roundtable discussion with community partners targeting our Alice population to help create a more educated and employed Osceola County. It was tremendous to see that outreach from our community partners, and it was led by Anthony Cook and also team members from REA from the district. That was amazing. And last but not least, I can't leave without saying later this week and next week is the Osceola County Fair right across the street. So I know our kids are hard at work trying to get their 4-H projects ready to go. There's crafts, horticulture projects, market animals that are happening. So there's lots of opportunities to get engaged and involved in our Osceola County Fair, and look forward to that. And that's all that I have.
Thank you. Mrs. Cahoon?
Thank you. I want to highlight our partnership that we have with our partners at Junior Achievement. In the last 2 weeks, I've got to see some great programs that they help us put forward in our school district. The first one was JA Inspire, where we had 50 plus community partners come out and highlight different opportunities for our 8th graders, and I actually got to attend with my own 8th graders that are trying to figure out where they want to attend high school and what they're going to do post high school, and how they can come back to our community here in Osceola and make it a better place. So that was a really great thing to see and witness. And a big thank you to our guidance department and our college and career department for making this happen. I also toured the 3DE program at Osceola High, again put on by Junior Achievement. This program brings out community members and business professionals to partner in our school district or in Osceola High in a program that teaches those students how to become entrepreneurs and business professionals. They are actually in the process right now. Their juniors are creating their own businesses, and they'll be highlighting them next month, I believe. If there's anyone that's interested in learning more about this program and how you can get connected and support it, let me know, because I'd love to connect you with them. In addition to that, I've had some schools reach out to me and share some things that are happening for them. Neptune Middle had some exciting things taking place recently. The robotics team qualified for the U.S. Open Robotics Championship in Council Bluffs, Iowa. And their chorus has been invited to perform at the Disney Performing Arts Workshop Disney Sings on April 6th. In addition to that, OHS's Air Force JROTC Raider team took first place recently out of 13 high schools in a physical fitness contest at Timber Creek. And their number one drill team brought home second place in 2 drills at that same competition. And in addition to that, at OHS, I participate in their Keep OHS Clean initiative. We were out last month cleaning up the school one Saturday morning. The next one is actually this Saturday, February 11th at 7 a.m. I don't think I'm going to be able to attend this one, so I encourage anyone else that's in the community that wants to go join those students in cleaning up their school. They are very much setting a great example there at their school.
Thank you so much. Dr. Lee?
Yes, just a couple of things. Most of the board members have already highlighted a few of the things on my list. There has been a lot of really positive things happening in the district. We did have an opportunity to do the final interviews with our top 10 Teacher of the Year candidates. It's always an incredibly inspiring and motivating day. All of our teachers are doing incredible work, but when you hear the passion, the enthusiasm, the why behind their work, it's always just, like I said, a very inspiring day for me and for the rest of the team that's a part of that process. Did want to share with the board that the district has finalized and submitted all of the required evidence and documentation for our Cognia accreditation review. The program is no longer face-to-face, it's primarily virtual and through written evidence and documentation, but Dr. Straker led our efforts to organize that information. I did a presentation with Cognia last week, along with all the supporting members of the team, and the Cognia board will meet in March, and then we anticipate we'll get our full report back in April, but this is our 5-year standards accreditation review. And then finally, I had a great meeting last week with the team from Bezos regarding the Montessori preschools that they have been planning to implement at Deerwood Elementary and Highlands Elementary. Remember that these are full-day, full-year programs that will be free to qualifying families. They are super excited. They should be launching those programs at the end of March. And the board will get information and invitation to their ribbon cutting, and then they'd also like to set up follow-up interviews about the Montessori program and curriculum. But they're very, very excited. They already are fully staffed. They have directors on site. The construction renovation process is done. So now it's just a matter of finalizing their training with their teachers and recruiting the final families. But super excited. They should open with at least 2 classes at Highlands and perhaps 4 at Deerwood out of the gate, and then expanding to their full program for August.
Dr. Pace, on that program, because I know the Title I students have access to the EPK all day, but we talked about at the last board meeting that non-Title I don't get that. Do we give non-Title I students preference to get into that program since that exists?
This program actually has qualifying income limits.
Okay.
The Bezos Academy program is designed to target high-needs areas, and so that's why we've chosen Deerwood and Highlands, because we feel like that will give those families a real opportunity to expand our VPK presence through the Montessori curriculum.
Right, so it's more prescriptive curriculum rather than.
A lot of
But
creativity.
it's also not within our lane to do that, right? This is a private organization,
It is.
so
correct.
we don't have any control over who they accept or anything like that, do we?
We do not. However, they have invited us to participate in their grand opening and come and visit and observe the school and learn from it.
Thank you, Dr. Pace, and thank you all board members. I would like to go ahead and close with saying Happy National School Council Week to all the councils here in Osceola. So if we have any here, thank you so much for everything you do. If you are, thank you for helping our students dream big. And I think we have a little surprise from Lakeview Elementary. I'll yield some of my time to the little ones.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. I'm Stephanie Dunn, and I am a second grade teacher at Lakeview Elementary School. We launched this year a program that includes our 2nd through 5th graders. We go to different places in the community, and we learn how government works, how adults like children have to learn collaboration, working together. We researched your districts. We looked at your populations. We talked about your families. And so if it's okay that they approach the bench after, they're going to come and they're going to be brave and bold. And like adults, that they are going to be respectfully bring things to the board and speak clearly and just tell you what's on their hearts. None of this reflects my feelings. just FYI.
You could take the mic off.
Oh, okay, perfect, thank you.
Hi, my name is Gary. Dear Mr. Melendez, thank you for keeping us safe and for giving us materials for school and for nice teachers, and thank you for your time.
Dear Mrs. Booth, I appreciate all you do. You keep us safe by buying school resource officers and by buying materials for our school. Thank you for hiring amazing teachers.
You are amazing because you help make the right decisions. Thank you for helping everybody, and thank you for all that you do. Dear Dr. Pace, we appreciate how you treat us in our stay in school. You are kind. It is a sacrifice that you stay at the board.
Thank you so much.
Dear Ms. Casello, I really appreciate the toilet paper, how my teachers are nice to me, my books, computers, the school laws. Thank you for working late.
There are two that were not here. Ms. Cahoon, thank you for school books. Thank you for my teachers, and that you don't see your family late on school board nights. This one is from Janaya. Mr. Arguello, thank you for buying our supplies. I love that I have a computer of my own and books. Thank you for your service, and thank you for my teachers.
Thank you so much. That was great, refreshing. I appreciate it. Okay, team. So we do have next on the agenda the new board meeting protocols. They were sent to you all last Monday. I'm not sure if you have any questions. If you do, we can go ahead and go over the questions. And Mr. Krockenbacher, if you could please assist in ensuring that we have answers to any questions that folks may have, Mr. Melendez.
Yes. I mean, I prefer to speak to this after, do the presentations. Is that okay? Can we move this
Yeah,
over?
it's on the agenda for now, so we're gonna do that now.
Well, there's a number of issues with it. Number one, there's school board rules that govern specifically how the meetings are conducted. And we have School Board Rule 2.0 that says, item number 3, all school board meetings shall be conducted in accordance with Robert's Rules of Order. So if we want to, it's not within the chairman's authority to change a school board rule unilaterally. So if this is the desire of the chairwoman to do, then that can go through the school board policy making process and go through public hearings, because we've had this before with the use of facilities here. When we had Mr. Abreu wanted to do a task force, and at the time, the school board didn't agree, and so we went ahead and implemented it as a draft. So the school board rules and policies to go ahead and do that, and then we had the hearings and had the process, and then eventually became school board policy. But in addition to that, I can go over each item 1 through 6. Number 1 is not just a school board rule issue, it's almost a constitutional violation as well, because Robert's Rules of Order, as you can see, we had mentioned at the last board meeting, or not the last board, it was a couple board meetings ago. So I printed out 2 different versions. There's University of Louisiana Monroe, that has an interpretation, and also Cornell University. And when you call the question, there's votes that require 2/3 majority in order to overcome. One of them is ending debate. And so the first one that I see here, it says parliamentary procedures for meetings. This is what summary for Robert's Rules of Order from the University of Louisiana Monroe. And then item number 5 says question. To end the debate immediately, the question is called, I call the question. It needs a second. A vote is held immediately, no further discussion allowed, but a 2/3 vote is required for passage. If it is passed, the motion on the floor is immediate. The one that I have here.
Madam Chair, can we address these one by one?
Yes, could you first address whether or not, as the board chair, I am able to implement protocols to the meeting?
Yes, I can, and you do have that authority.
Thank you.
As long as you do so in compliance with law, which you're doing. And when you want, I'll address paragraph 1.
Correct, and the difference between protocols and school board rules are different. Protocols are maintaining decorum or enforcing the existing rules that exist. So if somebody says, you know, they start cursing or start making a personal attack on somebody, the school board rule, the school board chair has the ability to, within the policy, say, hey, let's maintain decorum. So there's a couple of these that I actually agree with. So like, you know, for instance, there's one that says, like for instance, like number 4, like all questions for staff will be directed to the superintendent unless the superintendent requests otherwise. That is very legitimate. That's something that we do already. It's already in school board policy. So what you have authority to do is to make sure that the school board is following school board policy. So that is actually appropriate. And there was another one that here, you said, it's gotta be germane. Where was the one, where's the germane? It said, it has to be regarding the topic. That, you know, because if somebody starts debating something and goes off into left field to something totally different than what the topic is that's being discussed, that is within your purview to do. But to sit here and be able to say that all votes are going to be majority votes, no, that's overcoming a policy. That's saying that, yes, and the first one says, you go here, we will be, all decisions regarding matters before the board will be decided by a majority vote. No.
Read the next sentence.
We will be advised when the law requires a different vote. Okay, well, as long as I know that calling the question is still a super majority requires 2/3 vote to overcome a point of question.
Does
So
calling the
address
question
that.
require,
That's a bigger question I want to talk with this board about.
This
Everybody
will be the time.
throws out, may I know?
Yes, please.
Everybody throws out Robert's Rules of Order when they want what they want.
Because
This
according to
board-
school board policies, that's what it
Please
says.
don't interrupt me and let me speak.
But please present it the proper way, not an opinion-based. Your attorney is supposed to give us advice based on
Mr.
facts.
Melendez.
Mr. Melendez, that's exactly what I'm doing. You may not like the advice, but I'm giving it to you, so be patient and listen.
And if I
All
may,
right.
this is
This board-
precisely the reason why we need to implement the protocols. I believe that we were all very respectful in listening to your points, and I believe that you owe our Mr. Koffenbacher the same respect and let him finish his points if you want to take notes.
But it's important.
He was
though, as a-
interrupted 3
but
times,
it's-
by the way,
But
while
it's
he was
important though, as a school board attorney though, he's not a regular person. He's supposed to speak from facts. When our school board rule says all school board meetings shall do that, and he begins a sentence with, oh, maybe it could be used or not, that's not what our school board policy says.
I would ask you to please hold your comments until he's done. Thank you.
You can
Mr.
go back to the
Koffenbacher.
record, that's not how I began the sentence. So let's start with the following. This board has not been following Robert's Rules of Order, all right? And if you did, you would be constantly backlogged and tied up on multiple issues. Read the book. There are multiple opinions on how to interpret Robert's Rules of Order. It says, it is recognized that in our rules, that Robert's Rules of Order may be practical to apply verbatim or literally to every parliamentary question which may arise. Questions of applicability or interpretation come to the school board attorney. However, it shall always be the prerogative of the chairperson to rule on such questions as he or she believes to be correct or proper, subject only to the right of any 2 school members to take an appeal for such ruling to the full board. So, if you want Robert's Rules of Order to apply strictly, then we're going to have a good afternoon training session, all right? Second, in doing the research on this topic for the chair, there's a memo, an article written by the chairperson for the National Association of Parliamentarians. She's the first person to have served 2 terms as their parliamentarian. And as you go through her article, it talks about A member can't speak more than 2 times on any one motion on any one day. This board has members who speak repeatedly on topics. It then talks about there'll be no personal attacks or comments. This board consistently has members who go beyond the topic into personal accusations. All right? So the chair sat down and said, I want to bring order to this, given, you remember we had a very excitable meeting, I'll describe it as. So Article 1 simply restates, in my opinion, what Robert's Rules says and what the law says. The board controls by a majority, other than if law says otherwise, and if this board needs to go through Robert's Rules and say which ones do they want applying. Do they want it to be, and my recommendation would be, that it takes 2/3 to do some things. It may not in other things, but this board needs to decide it and not just make wholesale statements because we're going to run into disagreements. All right? The second one, it is proper board governance that the chair will first ask for a motion to approve or deny prior to debate. The reason for that is if you have board members start talking, you don't know what you're talking about because there's no motion in front of you. So you ask the board, is there a motion? If there's no motion, you go on to the next topic. You just don't chat. It's meant to streamline and make it more efficient. The other one, let me finish. The other one is each board member will be allowed 3 minutes to discuss their thoughts. That's what the public gets. It is recommended in these articles, Robert's Rules would say up to 10 minutes. However, you can have less in the articles. The board chair chose 3 minutes. Each board member would get 3 minutes, and when everybody was done talking, then the person who first talked would have a second 3 minutes. But no board member could respond immediately when a board member hadn't spoken yet. You go in order of the way people press their buttons. We have violated that repeatedly. New business, the board chair and our rules even say, longer asked if everybody could please get new business in by this time, so everybody was prepared to talk. Public comment, the board had already decided that, it's going to stay where it is, and then she asked me to advise if we were violating it. I find no violation of Robert's Rules in this. It's implementing it in an orderly way and giving control of the board as to how they want to operate. If the board doesn't agree with this, they can override the chair and change it, right? But the board will continue to have the power it has. It's just going to be more orderly.
All settled?
Not trying to take.
No, I just want to respond to him. I just wanted to be courteous and then we'll finish.
Thank you, Mr. Hockenbacher.
Now, most of those items I can agree to. You know, those aren't the main issue. The main issue is selectively choosing when Robert's Rules of Order applies. And I gotta admit, it hasn't been applied. So now it's the job of the chair to kind of bring us back to that. And so I do agree, there has been personal attacks, there's been things like that. And so I wholeheartedly can support that mission, right? But it gets into a slippery slope is then when you say 3 minutes, but we do have minutes discussed in here, and it says up to 15 minutes in our own school board policy.
That's for the general public asking to be on the agenda, not a board member.
Correct, and I agree. And so, but there's no language indicating that limitation, specific limitation on a board member to be able to speak and represent their district. That is the only place where I have an issue with. Now, and I'm saying that I don't have an issue with the time limitation. To me, it's a procedural. At that point, which if the board majority wants to vote on updating our school board policy to discuss how to do that. Like, for instance, in Orange County, I spoke with Board Member Gallo. She said there's 7 board members, so they each speak for 5 minutes. But if they have to get back on the queue, just like you said, if there's like a counter, like they said something and somebody said something, they can't go right away, which is correct. they go on a queue and they come back and they can get like an additional 5 minutes. So I'm not opposed to even some form of time constraint either. It's just about the process that we just can't unilaterally say, okay, this is the way it is. If we want to impose time limits, then time limits have to be codified in the school board policy.
And I believe the chair has, as the chair of the meeting, the legal authority to impose the time limit she's proposed. Now, the board can say, we appreciate that time limit, we think it should be 5 minutes, we think it should be 7 minutes. That is what she's brought forward as chair while she's chairing the meeting. And if you want, we can also bring it back and we codify it in the rules if the majority of the board wants it. The board's got to decide. The direction from the chair was, she does not want this open-ended.
I agree.
On and on and on.
And I apologize, and I do agree. And so just using plain logic and like taking the emotion out of it, a good, like even with lawyers, you know, when somebody presents a case, they have an opening argument, they get to make their statements, and they get a closing argument. So I'm even willing to say, okay, if there is gonna be limits on us, that we have an opportunity, because technically speaking, we should all be open-minded on the board, and we should be able to influence each other. And so when somebody presents something, regardless of where it comes from, we should say, that's interesting, I got some questions, and allow an opportunity for the initial presenter to kind of clarify or say something in return.
And you get that chance.
Yes.
under this.
And as long as it's not 3 minutes and then you're done,
No.
but maybe 3 minutes and you can, you know, okay, time to like kind of bring that idea down, wait for other people to say their opinion, and then I can come back and do like a
Absolutely.
conclusion.
That's what Robert rules.
Then I'm okay with it, and then we're not really altering things. But the way I read it, and I could have read it wrong, it's not like 3 minutes and you're done. There's no time for rebuttal, there's no time to ask questions, there's no, it's like I really felt like I was being chilled, like stop speaking, Julius, you know, I know I talk a lot, but there's a lot of substantive things that the school board is discussing.
It was not, it is
So,
3 minutes, and then everybody gets a second 3 minutes. And unless the board then says, we want to keep talking, there's then a request by the board chair.
And that's what I was talking about, the Robert's Rule of Orders. And just to kind of finish this, not to go to the spinning, but then if you want to chill debate, then the 2/3 majority is what requires. It ain't a simple majority to chill a debate. It requires 2/3 majority to chill the debate, according to what we have.
thank you for both your comments. I have a light, so I'm going to give myself the speaking time. Clearly, as admitted, even by you, Mr. Melendez, these rules are necessary for us to do the business of the board. I have not heard from other board members. I am curious to know what they think as well. I am willing to have a conversation about the amount of time that we have to discuss our thoughts. But I do think that as board members who do our homework before we come here and who are engaged in conversation consistently, we should be able to make our thoughts known within a specific amount of time. And I'm willing to have a conversation to codify it in board rules, if that is what the board wants to do. But I'm asking that we make that decision next time, at the latest, under new business. As stated, new business needs to be notified before the board meeting, not during the board meeting. And I would ask that we adopt the rest of these protocols today. That's my piece, Mr. Arguello.
I mean, what just happened right now is a good example. So we were just talking about putting it in order of the lights, but you went and you skipped and you put me. It doesn't matter whether you have a light or not.
Your light wasn't on.
I know because you turned it off.
You
So
could have turned it back on.
I did, which is why you just called on me. That's the point. The point is that in order to, number one, you have to be squared away in being a chairwoman and not get so involved in the process, right? Because the problem isn't the rules. In fact, I applaud you. You're trying to make it more streamlined, get things done quicker. All that's fine and great. You're looking at the process. Okay, great. None of that is offensive to anyone, I would imagine. The problem is the intention. The intention is to quash debate and to debate and to create a lack of discussion where there needs to be more transparency. So, number one, in this also, you cannot determine what somebody says at the podium, right? Like, that's pretty clear. The legal, the law is very clear on that. When somebody's speaking, you cannot determine what they say. When somebody's speaking, they're speaking, you're gonna have to swallow it whether you like it or not. So number two, you can change how somebody does it, that's all fine and good, but you're trying to control the actual process of running a school district. And that's the problem, is that your intention is to stop the debate and just allow the three of you to run the school district alone. That's not okay, right? Secondly, we have a business here, which is to inform the public, right? I know that you don't believe that, but I believe that our job here is to be transparent with the public, right? So that's what you're trying to take away. This is their meeting in the end. This happens in this manner for a purpose, and you're defeating that purpose with these rules. 3 minutes, whatever, fine. All those things are details that are neither here nor there. The problem is the intention. If we want to make this a transparent school district with all the problems that we have, then this is not the way to do it. Lastly, I take offense to the whole, if everybody does their homework. I don't think that there's anybody on this board at any point in time, and I've been observing the board for more than 10 years, that is more prepared than Mr. Melendez or myself. I read all these contracts. It's very clear that the three of you have not since you've been here. It's clear as day that you have not read every single contract.
You are.
I'm sorry, that's interrupting, and I'm allowed to say whatever I
You're
want.
crossing the parliamentary rules.
I'm allowed to say whatever I want.
You're not allowed
You're
to say
not.
whatever you want, which is exactly what we're saying here. You
Yes,
are
but
not
I'm allowed to
say whatever
insinuate.
you want.
That's what, okay, so there's a procedure for disagreeing with that. That's not what it is, not for the attorney
The procedure
to
for
interrupt.
disagreeing with that would be calling you out of order and shutting you down. Would you like
Okay.
me to do that and follow the procedure?
Well, here's the problem with these rules, okay? That what you're doing is creating more havoc. You're not relieving us of havoc.
Okay.
Because you're gonna create rules that apply for only yourself to benefit you. That's all this does, right? It doesn't benefit the public. And maybe if you put the public first, you won't be so worried about the discussions that we're having. What you would do is you would have called us all aside and you would have said, you know what? Let's have a workshop and let's see if we can rein in our behaviors to be more productive for the public. That would have been far more productive than sending out an email yesterday saying that it was effective January 17th, that we were gonna change the rules. That's not acceptable. That's not acceptable behavior for a chairperson, and that's certainly not effective management of a meeting.
Thank you for your comments. Couple of things. Who did I have this discussion with? Did I have a discussion with any other board member about what I would like to do? Just for the record. Okay. For 2 years, we have sat here and had ineffective meetings that, by the way, I'm not sure if you know, but after every meeting, I have emails, text messages telling me how ineffective we are and how we are wasting time at every single meeting. So I don't have to prove my intent to you. I do have to prove my intent to the people that have elected me to be on this board, and I can tell you right now that they know this has nothing to do with me or whether or not I want to put you in a little box. It is about making these meetings more effective, more efficient, more fair, and get the business of the board done. So I do take issue with you saying that I had a conversation with people about what I was going to do regarding this. Do you have something else to say? I see your light is on.
Yes. So, here's the thing. Are we going to follow our own board policies or not? Are we gonna follow Robert's Rules of Order or not? Because to take Mish in, little bits and pieces here so that it benefits, like I said, basically so that it takes away the opportunity to anyone to question the decisions that you make, then, I would say that that's something that the public needs to see. And I think that should be a
So
public
it's
discussion.
clear that, I haven't heard from anybody else, so I don't want to make any assumptions, but at least Mr. Melendez has stated that he is okay with most of these except for the time limit, which I am willing to, in good faith, once again, after 2 years of good faith conversations that have led us absolutely nowhere, I am doing this one more time in good faith. I am willing to put this on the next agenda to have a discussion about how long the time for us to speak is. But everything else seems like to me, at least to the majority of the board, I would love to hear from other people if this is not correct, that we can go ahead and adopt. So, Mr. Melendez, and then Mr. Arguello, and then I think we should move on.
We do have students waiting for this.
Yes, but this is
We're in discussion, but I've got young elementary school students waiting.
Yes.
And you know, that's the other thing too, so I do support you, Madam Chair, in your intent, but just a couple of things, and I do believe, like Mr. Arguello, you know, when you do say things, you know, sometimes you can insinuate and it gets personal attacks, as opposed to saying what's a fact. And I do believe that's within a chairwoman's right to say, okay, look, we're not here to insinuate. If you have facts that somebody did something, that's a different story, you present a fact. But to insinuate that the rest of my colleagues, and I apologize to my colleagues for that, for saying that you don't do your homework. He knows I do, but I have no clue whether or not you guys do. And I do not have the basis to make that kind of accusation. So to me, that's where you kind of get out of the bounds between what you can say and not say without maintaining decorum. So that was an excellent example of why I do believe we do need some form of decorum, Madam Chair, and I'm supporting.
Thank you. Mr. Arguello, I believe you have one more point.
Yeah, I think what we should do is submit all of our thoughts in writing to the chairwoman so that we can address them and see what everyone's thoughts are before we debate this at the next meeting. And secondly, I just want to point out that the first person that spoke about homework was the chairwoman, not me. So she was the very first one that mentioned if everyone did their homework. Obviously, that was implying us. So let me rephrase the process. If everyone does their homework, and I think it's apparent to the public who reads all the contracts and who does not, then we should be here ready to go. It shouldn't take more than a few minutes.
Thank you. So, Dr. Pace, it sounds like, once again, we are okay with most of the rules except rule number 2, protocol number 2, which if we could please put on the next board agenda for how long each board member has to speak.
Yes, ma'am.
Everything else, I think we are good with
I
implementing.
thought we were gonna submit our written notes on this.
I'm gonna choose what to do with this. The chair, the board attorney has already said that this is my prerogative, and the only thing that I think we cannot agree on as a board is number 2, which I am willing to have a discussion about. If I'm wrong about that, I would like to hear other people say it.
You're wrong about that.
The majority of the board has decided that we are
You haven't
going to
heard
have a
that.
discussion.
How do you know that they've decided?
I don't see any lights on. The only way to speak is if your light is on, according to Robert's rules. Thank you. Thank you for a healthy conversation. We can move forward with the rest of the board meeting.
The seaweed is always greener in somebody else's lake. You dream about going up there, but that is a big mistake. Just look at the world around you, right here on the ocean floor. Such wonderful things around you. What more is you looking for? Under the sea, under the sea. Down it is better, down where it's wetter. Take it from me. Up on the shore they work all day, out in the sun they slave away, while we devoted full time to floating under the sea. Down here all the fish is happy, it's off through the waves they roll. The fish on the land ain't happy, it's sad cause they in the boat. The fish on the boat is lucky, they in for a worse of fate. One day when the boss gets hungry, guess who gon' be on the plate? Uh-oh, under the sea, under the sea. Nobody beat us, fry us, and eat us in fricassee. Under the sea, we want the mackerel to go. Under the sea, we have to go. We got no troubles, life is the bubbles under the sea. Then you play the flute, the harp, play the harp, the bass, play the bass, and it's time to show. The brass play the brass, the cello play the cello. The flute is the Duke of Soul. The ray he can play the leaves on the strings. The trout walking out, the blackfish you see. The sprout and the spat, they know where it's at, and all that blowfish blow. Under the sea, under the sea, under the sea, under the sea. When the sardine began to be green, it's music to me. It's music to me. What do they got? A lifestand. We got a hot crustacean band. Each little snail here know how to will here. That's why it's hot. Yeah, we in luck here. Yeah, we in luck here. Under the sea.
Are preparing to leave. Next we have the Proclamation of Career and Technical Education Month. Do we have somebody presenting that? Yeah, of course.
Thank you, Madam Chair. We got a few people we want to recognize today. And also I want to thank Ms. Cahoon and Mr. Melendez actually talking about CTE during their positive comments, which is always good. It's always a good day when we can talk about career and technical ed. Career and Technical Education Month, which is now February, is a public awareness campaign that takes place each February to celebrate the value of career and technical education, the achievements and accomplishments of CTE programs across the country, and of course here in Osceola. To honor CTE programs, the National Association for Career and Technical Education, also known as ACTE, issued a proclamation observing February 2023 as Career and Technical Education Month. Today we'll have the proclamation read by a couple of Neo City Academy students. That's Ian on clinics and Addison Davis. If you all would come on over. Oh, you brought your own homework. Okay.
It's already here.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, go.
So, whereas the month of February 2023 has been designated Career and Technical Education Month by the Association for Career and Technical Education, and
whereas career and technical education offers students the opportunity to gain the academic, technical, and employability skills necessary for career readiness, and
whereas students in career and technical education programs participate in authentic, meaningful experiences that improve the quality of their education and increase their engagement and achievement, and
whereas career and technical education provides students with the career exploration opportunities earlier in their educational experience, which enables them to make informed and beneficial decisions about their academic coursework and pursue established programs of study and career pathways, and
whereas leaders from business and industry nationwide report increasing challenges related to addressing the skills gap and connecting qualified professionals with available careers in critical and growing CTE-related fields, including healthcare, energy, advanced manufacturing, cybersecurity, and information technology, and
whereas career and technical education prepares students for these and other fulfilling careers by offering integrated programs of study that link secondary and post-secondary education and lead to the attainment of industry-recognized credentials, and
whereas career and technical education programs ensure that employers have access to a qualified and thriving workforce, ensuring America is a strong and competitive economy, and
now, therefore, the School District of Osceola County proclaims February 2023 as Career and Technical Education Month.
So moved. Second. Vote to declare it.
Oh, you have to
I
vote.
have a motion by myself,
Okay.
a second by Miss Booth. Board, all those in favor? It is
Okay.
so now.
Well, thank you.
Because you're on more than people think.
No, thanks a lot for that. And also this past year, we have close to 4,000 industry certifications with all of our students. That's K through 12 and OTEC and ALCO. We've actually had a few through our adult education programs as well. One of the programs I want to showcase today is one that it's kind of not seen that much, and it's some of our early childhood programs, since these young ladies want to be teachers, so we definitely wanted to showcase them at the same time. And they're a wonderful teacher. Tommy Truxell is the teacher of the early childhood education program at St. Cloud High School and is currently in her third year of teaching the program. In conjunction with her program, she runs the FCCLA Student Career and Technical Education Student Organization and has had students qualify for national competition every year. Last year, she took three students to the national competition in San Diego, California, and had a student place in the top 10, great project by the way, in the nation to focus on a children's project. This year, she's on track to see her chapter achieve national eligibility as well. In December, she took 9 students to the FCCLA district competition, where all 9 students scored gold in their respective categories. 3 of those students are attending the board meeting with her. If you ladies want to come on up and introduce yourself, I'll let you all do it. I'll probably chop your names up anyway, so. And just tell a little bit about the program and stuff.
Hi, my name is Bailey Couch. I'm a junior at St. Cloud High School, and this is my second year doing the project with FCCLA. In March, we will be going to the state competition, where hopefully we can qualify to go to Denver, Colorado this year.
Hi, my name is Jalen Bonilla. This is my first year doing a project, but my second year in the program, and my project's a little bit about teaching exercise to children on how it can affect you mentally and physically. I play basketball myself, do sports medicine. It does help to do exercise, I promise. So, yeah.
Hi, my name is Isabel Lazuski. This is my third year in early childhood and my second year doing FCCLA. First year doing a STAR event. Mine is about learning the process of a job interview.
And will you tell them what happened to you today?
Oh, today I actually had a job interview myself, and they said that I am able to start in the beginning of March.
My name is Alexandra Rindle. I'm a junior at St. Cloud High School this year. This is my second year in the early childhood program. My second year actually in the FCCLA club. And my project this year was to spread the word on financial literacy to our students and just get the vital information to all of our students school-wide.
And hello, my name is Tommy Troxel, and I'm proud of these amazing leaders in our community. They are doing great things with helping with the homeless, teaching other students how to interview properly, and getting our students up and running, and again, with the financial fitness. We have so many more projects. But I did want to mention to you tonight, or even present to Mrs. Booth on behalf of FCCLA, our t-shirt. This is our national t-shirt, or our school t-shirt. The rose is our flower of choice for our club. We are having an incredible year. Your husband, as well as many members in our community, have helped us. They helped us to go to San Diego, California last year. They provided us with the funds for that, and we'd like to present you with this because your husband's name is on this shirt, and we'd like you to share with him. Thank you so much. I just love you. Thank you. And as the girls are preparing to go for nationals, we are just so excited that we've had the support of St. Cloud as a whole. Nathan Blackwell, our mayor, had provided us also with a beneficial opportunity to go. The CTE department has been so supportive of our girls, and anything that we need from them, they are right there for us, and we cannot thank you so much. And we are just amazing young ladies pulling out of St. Cloud High School. Thank you.
Mrs. Booth, you have a comment?
I do. I just first wanted to, I would be remiss to say, in case you don't know, you guys did a great job up here speaking, by the way. I know it's a little hard to get up here to do that, but I'd be remiss to say, Miss Tommy, you mean the world to me. In case you don't know, she was my daughter, who's a senior now, her pre-K teacher, BPK, way back when. And so because of your work, because of everything that you do, my daughter is who she is today. And I do appreciate that very much.
And I thank you so much. Thank you for all the support you also have given, and Mr. Allen as well. I would not be here without Mr. Allen in this position. So as we go, it takes the support of everyone here, and thank you so much. Thank you so much. And we wish everyone well.
Lucky to have you.
Ellie on her journey. Thank you.
And in closing, I just want to thank staff and the board as well. Dr. Pace and staff have really been supportive of our programs and let our dreams flow. And we're very, very grateful for that. I feel like we get 100%, 120% support with even dealing with the kiddos all the way to the adults. So I just wanted to thank you and happy CTE month.
Thank you. The next proclamation that we have is for National School Counseling Week. Counseling Week, yes.
Good evening. National School Counseling Week is February 6th through 10th, 2023, to focus public attention on the unique contribution of school counselors within U.S. school systems. National School Counseling Week is sponsored by ASCA, highlights the tremendous impact school counselors can have in helping students achieve school success and plan for a career. National School Counseling Week is always celebrated the first full week of February. Reading the National School Counseling Week Proclamation is our own elementary school counselor and the 2021 Elementary Counselor of the Year from Thacker Avenue Elementary for International Studies, Margaret Martinez.
National School Counseling Week Proclamation. Whereas school counselors are employed in public and private schools to help students reach their full potential, and whereas school counselors are actively committed to helping students explore their abilities, strengths, interests, talents, and traits related to career awareness and development, and whereas school counselors help parents focus on ways to further the educational, personal, and social growth of their children, and whereas school counselors work with teachers and other educators to help students explore their potential and set realistic goals for themselves, and whereas school counselors seek to identify and utilize community resources that enhance and complement comprehensive school counseling programs and help students become productive members of society, and whereas comprehensive developmental school counseling programs are considered an integral part of the educational process that enables all students to achieve success in school. Therefore, the School District of Osceola County does hereby proclaim February 6th to 10th, 2023 as National School Counseling Week.
Motion by Board Member Booth and a second by Board Member Cahoon. Board, all those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for those presentations. We have one final presentation by Dr. Pace.
Good evening, board members. Thank you, Madam Chair. I would like to invite Mary Lou Shears up to the podium. Board members, as you know, at our last meeting, we appointed Assistant Principal Dr. Millie Torres from Discovery to become the new principal at Deerwood. She has started in that role, and Mr. Dunn and his team have interviewed and identified with help Mary Lou Shears to be the next Assistant Principal at Discovery Intermediate School.
Second.
Oh, we got our bio.
I need to brag about her a little bit, and thank you, Mr.
Well,
Melendez.
Motion by Mr. Melendez, second by Mrs.
Mr. Boyle.
Oh, sorry, Mr. Arguello was the second?
Yes.
Second by Mr. Arguello. Dr. Pace, continue.
Mary Lou has been a math coach and an assistant principal at General John Stricker Middle School, an instructional mentor math teacher at Kissimmee Middle, and a middle school math resource teacher. She received her bachelor's degree from Towson State University, a master's degree in elementary ed from Towson University, and recently completed her educational leadership program at Goucher College. And I am confident her great skills in math are going to bring a real touch to Mr. Dunn and Ashley Webb and their leadership team, and I highly recommend her for your approval.
Perfect. Board, all those in favor?
Aye.
Congratulations.
Good evening. First and foremost, I would like to give glory and honor to God for all He is doing and all He is going to do. I have a lot of thank yous I would like to say. Dr. Pace and board members, thank you for this opportunity. Dr. Allen and Michelle Henninger, you two are two of the best examples of leaders I have ever met. Thank you for your continued support and encouragement. Andrea Juergens, Caitlin Devine, and math team and curriculum and instruction team, you all rock. You are an amazing group of people, and I look forward to continuing working with you, just in a different capacity. Christy Ray, thank you. I could not have done this without you. Gary Dunn and Ashley Webb, thank you for this opportunity. I'm so excited to work with Discovery Community and the teachers, staff, and students at Discovery Intermediate. To my sweet husband, Ron, you are my rock. There is nothing that could ever compare to the love and support you have given me for the past 32 years. I love you. I am very honored to be joining the Discovery Explorers. Thank you again.
I would like to take just a moment of privilege and ask our Director of Student Services, Darla Bungo, to stand for a moment. I would be remiss if I didn't take a chance to celebrate the amazing accomplishments of Darla and her contributions to the district. She has served the school district of Osceola County for 36 years. She has decided that it's time to retire and move on to other things, but her contributions will last for a very, very long time. So Darla, thank you. And now if I could invite Dr. Rhonda McMahon up to the podium. We know that it's going to take a very special person to fill those shoes that Ms. Bungo and her team are leaving behind. And I think Dr. McMahon is just the person to do that. She has been a teacher for grades 3 through 8, an assistant principal at Turner Elementary School, the principal at Turner Elementary, an adjunct instructor at Hillsborough Community College, principal at Canella Elementary School, principal at Boggy Creek Elementary School, and currently serves as the principal at Celebration K-8. She received a bachelor's degree in liberal studies, social sciences from Loyola University, a master's degree in special education, gifted and talented from the University of South Florida, and her doctorate degree in educational leadership from the University of Central Florida, where her dissertation was about student services discipline and examining, I think, over 4,000 IEPs before it was all said and done. Exactly. So she's well prepared to learn all that there is to know about the student services realm. She holds a certificate in elementary education, education leadership, and an education specialist degree in curriculum instruction and education technology. So board, I present Dr. McMahon to be our next Director of Student Services.
Motion to approve. I have a motion by Mr. Board Member Arguello and a second by Board Member Booth. Board, all those in favor?
Aye.
I would say no, but
Got big shoes to fill.
I approve. Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you, Chairwoman and the board and Dr. Pace. It is very difficult to leave Celebration because that is my home in more ways than one, not just working there, but also living there. But this is, by the way, Florida has declared this Student Services Week as well as National Counseling Week, and the role that Student Services plays is huge in the success of our children. I feel very passionate about following the work that Darla has done. She has been a tremendous resource to many, many administrators over the years, and I only hope that I can do half as well as she does. So thank you, Darla, for leaving me really big shoes to fill. I do also want to, as is evident, I did not grow up here. I'm not from here, but I have to give a huge shout out to Dr. Pace and to Dr. Allen and to her administrative team. I have never in my 30 years of education been more supported both professionally and personally in a district as I have in this one. It is a great place to work. I want you to know that while I can still talk to you on a microphone. And I've been in 5 districts, so thank you to all of you for that. I really appreciate it, and thank you for this opportunity. I'm looking forward to my new team.
Thank you. We have one additional presentation regarding the superintendent search, so I will have a member from FSBA. Yes, hi.
Thank you, Chair Castillo, and good evening, board members, Dr. Pace, and the administrative team. We would like to discuss 3 items tonight briefly with the board. That would be the superintendent search timeline that we were asked to bring back subsequent to our last meeting with the board. I believe that the board has that timeline, and really for just kind of a overall review, I'd like to run through some of the key dates here and work down toward the end of our research process. Tonight we're meeting to address several items which we'll get to in a few minutes. You can see on the timeline that we have conducted already 3 of your district focus group studies with staff. We'll follow up with the administrative staff on the 14th. We will also have 4 community forums. That'll be February the 27th, 28th, and March 1st and 2nd at those schools as indicated. The February 27th will be at Neo City Academy at 6. February 28th, Poinciana High Business Academy at 7 p.m. I think the board had requested to delay that start time a little bit. March 1st will be at Celebration High Media Center at 10 a.m. I think there was a request to have one in the morning for the members of the community who might like to attend that one. And then March 2nd at St. Cloud High at 6 p.m. So really by the March 3rd, we will have finished our thought exchange survey that your communications department has established. That's ready to go out tomorrow as soon as the board kind of gives us approval of this timeline. We then will compile all of the input that we receive from the staff focus groups and also the community forums, and we'll provide that back to the board on March the 8th. I did put in a special school board workshop for this event. I know that in some of our pre-search with the board, you had requested if we could move this search process forward as quickly as possible. So I have made a request here to have a special board workshop on March the 8th. At that time, we will really provide, the board will receive all the input from the forums prior to that March 8th date. We then would ask the board to establish the minimum qualifications and some of the preferred qualifications and qualities that you would want in a superintendent applicant. We also will discuss with the board the arenas that we would advertise in. We'll have some details at that point. The board would also be asked to set a salary range for advertisement, the length of contract that we would want to offer the successful candidate, and we'll talk about the application process. So we have a few items again on that date to discuss, but that's a quick overview of that. Once the board does complete that, those activities that evening, we would then be ready to advertise for the vacancy on March the 10th, and we will run that advertisement to end around April the 14th. So we have about 5 to 6 weeks to advertise. In between there, on March 31st, we'll have a school board workshop, and this again is a new workshop. I apologize, but again, in an effort to move the timeline as quickly as possible. And we will discuss at that meeting the items related to how you will screen the applicants that come in, the process for selecting semifinalists once you receive some information from your advisory committee, and then an update on the finalist interview schedule, what activities will be associated with those 2 days of on-site interviews. We'll discuss all of that on March the 31st. The advertisement period will end on April the 14th, as I mentioned. Then we've built in about 10 days for the board's advisory committee to review those applications and discuss applicants to send forward to the board for your continued consideration. And then there is a April 25th meeting that's already on your calendar that we would have the advisory committee officially submit their names forward to the board for your further consideration. Then on May the 16th, at a scheduled school board meeting you already have, you would identify semifinalists from the group that came from your advisory committee. There's certainly an option for the board to add to that if the board would so choose, but you would then identify the semifinalists at the March 16th meeting. Those semifinalists will then receive 5 questions, 1 question from each board member, and they would be asked to respond to 3 of those questions via video and 2 of those questions via written form. That way you get a chance to see the person's address cameras and how they would react in front of cameras, and also a taste of their writing skill in responding to 2 questions written. Those responses would be back to FSBA by May the 22nd, and then there would be again, the last special meeting I would ask you to have would be on May 30th, where you would identify the finalists to bring on site for interview. The number of finalists will certainly be your decision, whether it be 2, 3, 4, 5, that would be your decision. And as I mentioned, June the 8th and 9th, we would have on-site interviews. June 8th would be the day that you as a sitting body would interview each of the finalists. At some of our previous workshops that I've run over, we'll talk with you about the possibilities to have a community meet and greet on the evening of June the 8th, after the full day of interviews with the board as the sitting body. We would basically have your finalists at a certain venue that you could identify. We would then have those finalists give a 5 or 8 to 10 minute intro of him or herself. Then after each of the finalists complete that process, we would basically have the finalists assigned to certain areas of that venue, and the public can mingle to introduce themselves and visit with each of your finalists. That evening, we would provide a QR code that the public who is attending that community meet and greet may submit to board members or submit to the site comments about the finalists. Some of the strengths they may see in a finalist, some of the questions they would have about a finalist. We would then provide that to the board the very next morning before you start on June the 9th to do your individual one-on-one interviews with each finalist. That would be a time you may want to consider some of the public's input and ask appropriate questions during your one-on-one interviews. After that event, those 2 days, the 8th and the 9th, then you have a scheduled board meeting on June the 13th, the next Tuesday, and that would be the day that you would look to select your superintendent, followed by the next week to have negotiation for the contract, and then dates to actually approve the contract around the end of June. So that is a quick overview of the timeline. Hopefully it'll meet the needs of the board. We've tried to avoid some conflicting dates that we found out about, so hopefully this timeline will work for the board, and certainly I'm open for any comments or questions you might have.
Thank you. We first have Board Member Arguello and then Board Member Cahill. Board Member Arguello.
Dr. Vogel, thank you.
I'm sorry, just for the record, John Reichert. Dr. Vogel, I'm sorry. We had double booked today, so he is at another event doing a similar activity.
Okay, Mr. Reichert, sorry about that.
That's okay, no problem.
My question for March 8th, that's going to be in the afternoon, right? Because we have an open house that day. Was it planning for that?
Well, yes, that's why the time is to be determined. So if that's an option to have on that date.
That was the first conflict that I saw, so I just wanted to make sure that was something that might be.
So we need to entertain moving that.
I mean, it's okay as long as we do it in the afternoon after the.
Yeah, so we'll have to move it at a. Okay, we'll set the time so that we can attend. We can do that, thank you. Was that all?
Madam Chair,
Thank you.
if I ask the board a question, would it be helpful to you in preparation for the meeting where you want to go over the issues of what the superintendent should look like, compensation, et cetera, if I gave you a bunch of samples of existing superintendent contracts? Because they're very diverse and different. And that way you can kind of see what boards have done. And you may have an idea from it, you may not, but we should.
And not just the bonuses too.
Ms. Cahill,
Yes.
thank you. Ms. Cahill, Board Member Cahill.
My only concern is the transition period here, because Dr. Pace's last day is slated for June 30th. So I don't know what the board desires as far as how much time we want to transition if the new superintendent, along with our old superintendent.
Quick question, Dr. Pace answering, Mr. Melvins, I want to give you a chance to, okay, Dr. Pace and then Board Member Arguello.
I'm happy to work out a transition period based on the direction of the board with Ms. Castillo.
Thank you. We can, is everybody in agreement to add that as a new business conversation for next time? Can we do that? Yes? We'll add it to the next board meeting as a business for discussion. Mr. Arguello?
That was all.
Thank you. Mr. Melendez?
Oh, okay, never mind, I see it there. No, it says discuss membership of advisory committee. When do we have to have the deadline to submit our nominees so that way they can get appraised on what to do? I think Sunshine applies to when they gotta get the briefing before they have their first meeting.
We would, based on their first meeting, and once a group is identified, we would certainly like to have it no later than mid-March. That would give us time to kind of do our, I think that Ms. Messina had asked Mr. Krupenbach about some training program on the Sunshine. That would be an absolute late, but as soon as the board really finalizes that, I know that each of the board is going to select 2 individuals, and I believe that we already have one board member who submitted her stuff, Ms. Cahoon, and the other group, I know we talked about having an administrator.
Random selection or something like that.
2 teachers, maybe a union, non-union teacher, a Teamsters, a parent, educational support professional, and also a student. So in addition to the 10 that will come from the board, from our notes at our last workshop, we also will add those additional 7 people, and that would be a total of 17 on your advisory committee.
Can you give the board, please, a specific date by which they need to have that information to you?
I would say no later than March 21st. Anytime prior to March 21st would be fine, but we would like to definitely have it by March 21st.
Director, I have 2 board members who submitted today that I will get to you before I leave this evening.
Okay, very good. And then, Madam Chair, I'll work with Tanya and Dr. Pace to identify the other 7 that will be joining your 10.
Thank you. Comments by Board Member Cahill first, and then Board Member Arguello second.
So, Mr. Melendez brought up that we had said we would select certain ones on a random selection. So if community relations, I think they were talking about getting that. Is that something we can have done with time for us to select at next board meeting? Do we feel like that would be enough time for them to apply via online survey or whatever it was?
I'll work with Dana.
Okay.
Yeah, and I like to see that process too, so.
Mr. Melendez? Mr. Arguello?
Actually, I was gonna do the same thing, so I'll do the same with the selection. I would also like to see and be part of the process. All right.
Any additional comments from the board? Okay, thank you.
But we have to approve the proposed timeline he's asking for.
Motion approved.
Second.
I have a motion by Mr. Melendez and a second by Mr. Arguello. Board, all those in favor? Aye. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And the second item that I'd like just to briefly touch on is a draft press release that your Community Relations has developed as a draft for your review. Just to review that quickly, it does provide and notify the public of some community outreach options where the community can participate and provide information to the board regarding their desires in the next superintendent. They certainly will be receiving from February the 8th to March 3rd, through your thought exchange process, a survey question for the public to respond to. That is sitting ready to go out with your approval of our timeline in this press release. They also will receive, you'll see the blank access point that is pending, of course, your approval tonight. That would be filled in. That release will also notify them of the 4 upcoming community forums that will start February 27th that we've discussed with a timeline. Those community forums, Dr. Vogler and I will conduct those. We'll be asking those who attend to give us the strengths of Osceola County, something that the incoming superintendent needs to, for lack of a better word, support and continue to enhance. And then we'll ask for challenges that may be facing Osceola County. Is it growth? Is it some other areas? We like to get that information for candidates, so when they call and express an interest in Osceola, they know some of the things that they'll need to be prepared for to address should they be selected, and also preparing for their interviews. Also, I would like to say that really with your okay of the timeline tonight, your communications department has already in development. They have an amazing superintendent search portal. I looked at it this afternoon. I got here a little early. That staff is amazing back there. Their war room, as I call it, it's a cool room. They've done some great work. So your superintendent search portal could be ready to go up tomorrow with your timeline on it that you've just approved. The press release will be there, and I know that they're going to send out the press release through their normal channels to inform the public, staff, and employees. So really, probably no later than tomorrow afternoon, day after tomorrow, your search portal will be up, and they've done just an amazing job on that. So we're happy to be working with Osceola County.
Thank you. Board Member Cahoon has an additional question or comment.
So my only comment here is this is the necessary place that communication in regards to allowing our teacher and our parent to show that they're interested in being part of our committee with. So I don't know I know this is slated to go out tomorrow. If there's time to make adjustments to it with how they will apply, or
I'll work with Dana on that process. We'll get something out tomorrow, whether it's with this press release or through direct communication some other way.
Board members? Board Member Booth?
Just a comment. I want to say thank you for your diligent work with us and having the workshops. It was very important to have everybody's input, and I feel like this is moving forward that I'm very impressed with the way this.
Oh, well, thank you very much.
Thank you very much for your efforts too.
Thank you. Your FSBA team gets excited when they see it on your website. That knows we're moving forward and we're getting ready.
Okay.
So thank you.
Thank you. All right.
Thank you, ma'am.
For your comments. All right, board members, we will go ahead and move on to board agenda modifications. I'll start with Dr. Pace.
I need to pull item 15.04, the turf field project. There's some legal language in the current agreement that Mr. Krabbelbacher needs to review.
Thank you. Anything else?
No, sir. I'm sorry, no, ma'am. Sorry.
No problem. Board Member Melendez?
7.01. 9.01. 11.09. 11.15. Yeah, 11.15. 12.01.
Okay, just as a note, I will be calling a member of the public for 9.01 before we take a vote or comments from the board. Thank you. Board Member Arguello?
Yeah, I would like to add, so I had 7.01, 9.01, 11.07, 11.11, 11.12, 11.13, 11.14, 12.01.
That's a full start. Thank you. Board Member Booth?
No, we're good.
Thank you. Board Member Cahill?
I have no additional to those articles.
Okay, to confirm what the agenda modifications are, we are approving the agenda as submitted with the following items pulled: 7.01, 9.01 with comment from the public, 11.07, 11.09, 11.11, 11.12, 11.13, 11.14, 11.15, 12.01, and 15.01, and 15.04. Yeah, 15.01 and 15.04, did I get that wrong? Nope, just 15.04, I want to make sure that's correct before we move on. Yes, okay. 7.01, 9.01, 11.07, 11.09, 11.11, 11.12, 11.13, 11.14, 11.15, 12.01, 15.04, is that correct?
Motion to approve the modified agenda.
Second. I have a motion by Board Member Melendez and a second by Board Member Booth. Board, all those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. We will get started with item 7.01, which is the approval of the personnel agenda. Mr. Melendez.
Yeah, on this one, I haven't seen the resignation of Mr. Clinch.
The letter was submitted to HR.
Can I see that letter? Because I don't know that he resigned. And like, yeah, because technically speaking, because I remember he wrote an email to the board and said that he would be submitting, but I
The
didn't
letter
see
was
the
sent-
actual submittal.
The letter was turned in on Friday.
Can I get a copy of that?
I'll be happy to provide that. I don't have it with me.
Because I think it's very unfortunate that, man, we lost such a great asset. Mr. Clench had, the facilities department had to deal with 4 or 5 schools being built at the same time with transportation depots and getting a lot of awards. And so I'm just concerned why he would resign all of a sudden. I mean, is there any, have you spoken to him about that or anything like that? Have you did an exit survey of why he would want to leave?
Yes,
And what was the reason?
personal reasons.
Well, if I get a chance, I hate to vote on something without seeing the actual evidence, because I just haven't heard that. Because when you saw the email, I didn't get the follow-up. So I would like to see that resignation first before I vote on this. Because technically, for all intents and purposes, he's still here.
His resignation is effective June 30, and I'm recommending that he go on leave of absence until that time.
Can we get a copy of it?
His action form for separation was actually submitted today. So his action form has been uploaded to our electronic separation system along with his resignation letter. We can provide that to you, not a problem.
Yeah,
But I've seen it myself because it had to be uploaded to our system. So I do have a form, letters.
Yeah, because I would like to see that, because it was uploaded today, but the agenda was created a week ago, or I don't know how long ago it was. And so it seems like a timing issue, and I'm leery of the timing issues and everything like that. So I'd just like to see the resignation before I submit accept this resignation. So before I can even vote on something, we have to see the evidence of it. So I would like to see the resignation.
Is that all, Mr. Ellis? Mr. Board Member Arguello?
Yeah, so then can we pull that name from the list? And put it on the next week's meeting, because I heard something completely different. I'm shocked by the announcement. If you were to look at all of our departments, that was probably the highlight of the district was his. So for him to resign suddenly, not only does it not make sense, but it's a tragic loss for the district. There's no other division, there's no other department, there's no other office in the school district which was as effective as his. Just to put it simply so that everybody's on the same page. And it's the only one where you can say that, where no one else can argue against. He was, he put our schools on the map, provided us with a reputation which was credible. And although everybody else might get awards all the time, no matter how bad our grades are, no matter how poor we do academically, no matter all the different reasons, we still get awards no matter what. I understand that. But he was the one that was actually earning awards because the end result of his department's work deserved it. So, and what I hear you saying this evening is not what I've heard other people saying as a reason for him to leave. So my question is, was he pushed out of this district, or did he choose himself to leave for his own reasons?
Was that all, Mr. Arguello?
Well, that was a question.
Yeah, motion to postpone this.
Wait, I'm asking, we have other board members who want to speak. Was that all, Mr. Arguello?
That was a question for the superintendent.
As superintendent, my leadership team members are my responsibility, and Mr. Lynch is recommended for leave of absence, and his contract would end on June 30 with his letter of resignation.
Okay, so reading between the lines, he's being pushed out of the district. So if he's being, I mean, this may be great timing. Not for Mr. Clinch, but for your retirement process, in my opinion, because that's exactly what's wrong with this district. We have departments that don't function well, and those are protected. We have a department that is functioning in an extremely good capacity, in an extremely good manner, and that gets the guillotine. And that's absolutely positively the wrong way to go about. That's not how you lead a district, certainly. Well, that's how you lead a district like the one that we're in. One that is not doing well, and I'm in shock. Number one, that you wouldn't have come to us before and said, listen, I'm thinking about doing this for these strategic reasons. Instead, we get a forced resignation, pretty much like a kidnapping letter, okay, saying that this guy's being resigned or removed from the picture, and then all of a sudden he's leaving and, you know, whatever, and all this is happening. This is terrible leadership. It's terrible leadership. It's terrible human resources. It's not surprising, but it is terrible nonetheless. That's all.
In the timeline, I have Board Member Cahoon, Board Member Melendez, and then Dr. Pace.
Can I ask what normal procedure or protocol is for when a staff member provides a letter of resignation and it's stated as personal reasons? I mean, how often does is that reviewed by?
Well, you saw this morning or this afternoon in our strategic plan workshop where our exit survey data says other and personal reasons are large contributors for why other people are leaving the organization. But just like this one, it's submitted to the personnel agenda and it comes to the board for approval.
Thank you. Thank you, Board Member Cahoon, Board Member Melendez.
Yeah, because one thing I heard is that he was identified as a person that was potentially, leaking information as to there's certain inefficiencies that the way the school district does things. And state statute 1112.3187 discusses the Whistleblower Protection Act. Adverse action against an employee for disclosing information for specified nature. So to me, this is critical that without knowing that, because it does look like there was a forced resignation, to magically do this instantly. And to me, we almost have to investigate the purpose of that, because we have potential legal liability that we can get sued under state statute 112. And so if that is the case, that he had been targeted because he was sharing information for which he is protected under the law for identifying fraud, waste, and abuse, then that is a very concern of mine. So we have to, as a board, really seriously consider TPing this, because if we approve this and he retaliates with the 1112, argument, that he may have a case in that. And again, I have not even seen the resignation. It was like, hey, he's going to be submitting a resignation. I heard information that he was identified as a possible whistleblower. I don't know. We may have to launch an investigation into that, because that is a significant liability that the district would be taking on by approving this agenda as submitted with Mr. Clinch on there in a resignation that I haven't even seen or haven't followed up with. So forced resignations are part of the state statute protections. And so as a school board member, I do not feel comfortable voting on something with his name on it when there's a potential liability on it.
Okay, I have 1 second, please. I have two folks that are on the line to speak. Before that, Mr. Melendez, you said that you would like to table it. I would like you to consider instead adding it to old business for the next board meeting. If we just table it, somebody has to bring it up during the meeting, otherwise it dies.
Okay, or actually, instead of tabling it, I want to do two motions. Maybe modify that personnel agenda so the rest of the personnel agenda can go, just with Mr. Clinch stricken from that, so only the part, so in other words, I want to separate the personnel agenda, pass everything else, so that we don't mess with that timeline to get that going. Only the part concerning Mr. Clinch. And then I would like to delay Mr. Clinch's vote until we can look further into those protections of liability.
You can probably make one motion for all of that, and I'll let you go ahead and think about that. In the meantime, Mr. Arguello and Dr. Pace are next. However, Mr. Kroffenbarger, you don't have a light, so I would like to ask, did you want to say something before I move on to more comments?
I had outside counsel advise Dr. Pace on this. And when I looked at it, 112, I'm not concerned about, because what is being proposed is that he be paid through the end of his contract. So there's no economic adverse impact to him. And to my knowledge, I'm told he voluntarily submitted a resignation. Whatever the reasons were, nobody made him sign the document. He could have, and so as a lawyer, 112 doesn't concern me, just because of the way I explained it. But beyond that, to me, when somebody hands me a resignation and signs it, they're adults.
All settled? Thank you. Mr. Arguello and then Dr. Pace.
Yeah, I mean, what does it say when our CFO, and just for clarification's sake, Mr. Clinch came to me, he had concerns, I followed up with those concerns, and I spoke to our superintendent about those concerns. I got zero reaction, zero interest. I spoke to our attorney about those issues. I got not what I was expecting. I went to the FDLE, and now basically what we have is somebody, a leader who's outraged because somebody decided to voice their concerns about how things were working, and then he gets pushed out of the district. I'm not so concerned about Mr. Clinch's financial well-being. That's for Mr. Clinch to worry about. I'm worried about the well-being of our district, and the statement that if you report something bad at the district, then you're gonna get pushed out. Whether you're the highest performing guy on the line or not is a travesty. That's not how you run an organization. That is not any form of leadership. I mean, we had someone earlier tonight come and say, listen, this is the best leadership I've ever worked on. It's absolutely not the best I've ever seen. And not only is it not the best I've ever seen, but this points exactly to that. It would be the best we've ever seen. I mean, we've never had a teacher come up here and say, hey, this is the greatest district I've ever worked for. Why don't teachers come and say that? It's when you're the boss and you made it to the top, it's easy to say that. But you never know when you're on the line to get fired. When you come before the firing squad, all of a sudden it's no longer the best district to work under. And that's the problem. This needs to be a district where everyone feels safe in their ability to try to compose a statement to the leadership and say, listen, this is not so great. I would like for this to be addressed. When that does not happen, and instead what we do is force your resignation, June 30th cannot come soon enough, in my opinion.
1 second. Dr. Pace was on the line to speak. And then, do you have a question?
No, I want to respond to something.
Okay. Is it okay if I give Dr. Pace? Dr. Pace?
For the record, The board was informed about this over a week ago. I said in that email, please contact me individually if you have any questions. I have reviewed the matter in full with Mr. Kreppenbacher. The allegations of fraud, misuse, abuse, etc. have been investigated and found unfounded. We had an outside agency look into our HVA systems and help us with design guidelines. At that time, there was no indication of any wrongdoing by anyone. We then had 2 more investigations specifically into the concerns that were expressed by Mr. Arguello as well as Mr. Clinch, and then FDLE investigated the situation. And in all of those times, any allegations of fraud, misuse, abuse in our HVAC systems by maintenance through facilities were unfounded.
That's all. Dr. Pace, thank you.
Madam Chair, I just want to point out, because Mr. Arguello said he spoke with me. Following his speaking with me, I got both departments together upstairs. I brought in the CFO to try and reconcile the issues. That didn't get reconciled. I then hired an outside lawyer, Natalie Torres, to do an investigation. We hired an expert from Tampa to review records and the practices. We had an expert from Orlando that we made sure the experts had nothing, the Tampa expert had nothing to do with the school board. They had no business with us, and we came back with nothing. Nobody was reporting anything to us. So I just say that because I took action when Mr. Arguello reported it to me, and I know.
As did I.
Thank you. Ms. Cahoon? And, oh, thank you for that. Mr. Arguello, do you have one more thing to say?
Yeah, so, yes, you took action, but your action was to pull the cord on the guillotine on Mr. Clinch. It's, what you said is absolutely correct, all those steps were followed. However, the company from Tampa was a company that did have a relationship with that company, from what I understand, that was under investigation. And when we talk about what nothing was unfounded, unfounded is different than them saying we could not prove that this happened, right? Because they did find, when RSM did a search, they did find fault with the practices that we had. And the practices that we had were in line with what Mr. Clinch was saying. So I don't understand how Mr. Clinch was correct. Was it to the degree that I suspected? Perhaps not. But the fact is he was correct. Everything that he said were issues which RSM stated in their audit, in their internal audit, as issues that we have. So I'm not understanding, you get fired for being right. That's, and that's essentially what happened. He was forced to resign, and it's a travesty. Here's the thing, before the next meeting, I would recommend having a heart-to-heart with Mr. Clinch and making sure that he's back where he belongs over here, making our district look good when our grades are in the toilet, and you worry about those jobs and you worry about how to get those grades up, not how to destroy our construction $400 million budget before our eyes.
Ms. Cahill, do you have anything to say? No? Okay, I will entertain a
I
motion
did.
for.
Well, I had a follow-up, but I had a question here on 112. It's based on new information that I received from Dr. Pace. So it wasn't my original intent. So Dr. Pace then, through her own admission, had a discussion with Mr. Clinch about the possibility of alleging that there's fraud, waste, and abuse in the maintenance department. Now, she defending her actions by saying that he wasn't guilty or that they couldn't find something. But the legislative intent of Florida Statute 112 specifically says, it is the intent of the legislature to prevent agencies from taking retaliatory action against any person who discloses information to an appropriate agency alleging improper use. Alleging means that's why they're making the whistleblower. They don't have always the evidence. They see something and they want you to investigate. And then when you do an investigation, and if nothing's going wrong, then that's okay. You know what, that's like an internal control process. That actually should be rewarded, and it's not, I know sometimes it could create an adversarial relationship a little bit because people don't like to be questioned when they do things, but when we're a large organization and you say, I think there's something here, and it's not just, okay, you shouldn't be scared to say that. That's the whole purpose of whistleblower. That's that definition of whistleblower. I think I see something. You don't know for a fact. You're not an investigator. I think I see something. you disclose it to the proper authorities, the authorities conduct an investigation, and if they find it or not, you don't punish the whistleblower. If there's nothing there, you say, okay, there's nothing there, and it justifies their instance. And to me, by Dr. Pace's admission right there, it sounds like that was the case. And it sounds like a violation of
Madam Chair,
1112.
let me interject as the lawyer, so we don't create liability as a board member. Dr. Pace has never answered to you one comment about why she dealt with Mr. Clinch and why he resigned. She said it was personal reasons. The only two people saying something contrary to that are two board members. None of you know what took place and what happened. So speculating is just creating an unnecessary negative on the district. You have an employee who has voluntarily resigned, who's going to be paid through the end of his contract. If he wants to, I'll contact him and say, Mr. Clinch, if you want to raise a 112, raise it now. Advise me, all right? But to have this dialogue when you have, or simply saying you think it appears it is inappropriate, because there are no facts in front of you to make those statements other than an employee has voluntarily resigned. You're putting together other data.
I have to respond to that, Madam Chair.
Wait a
He
second.
specifically called me out.
Okay, we will do that. I just
I can
want
wait
to
my
make.
turn, I can wait my turn, I just want to.
Yeah, Mr. Arguello's ahead of you. I just want to remind the board that the business that we need to do is a resolution on this agenda item. So I'm hoping that there is a motion to move forward.
I'll make that motion right now.
What is the motion, please? I have a motion to approve item 7.01. Do I have a second?
I second it. As is, without the modification or with the modification?
Without the
Because I had originated a
modification.
motion, but it was just denied.
I'm sorry.
I had originated a motion a long time ago, but you just denied
I
it.
didn't
here.
deny you.
I made the motion.
Madam
You
Clerk,
said-
What
I'll
was,
second
wait, hold on. What was the motion that you made? Because I was very clear, and are you making a motion? I asked you to amend it.
Yes, and I amended it.
You dropped it.
No, and I said amended it. I said my motion is to do, I said you can combine them into one. So the motion is to approve the personnel agenda as submitted with Mr. Clinch's name and his issue stricken from that, so we can discuss that another date and follow up with it.
Okay. If that is what you made, I will entertain that first. I apologize, Mrs. Booth. He did make a motion. However, I will ask you, I did ask you to amend it and you didn't. That's why it wasn't clear to me. So,
Okay, you
in good
misunderstood.
faith.
That's okay.
Absolutely. In good faith, I will go ahead and entertain your motion. Please state it exactly the way that you want us to vote on it once again.
Yes, the motion is to approve the personnel agenda as submitted without Mr. Clinch there's like three things on there. His resignation, and then there's administrative leave, his administrative resignation, his administrative transfer. So with those three items removed from the rest of the personnel agenda, so I moved to approve.
And what are we
the rest.
doing with with the rest of the items?
We're gonna bring it on to the next board meeting until we can investigate it, or we can investigate the purposes. I kind of want to say the exact next meeting.
Until the attorney
Until the
discusses
attorney
it.
discusses it, and we do a legal review, and we do an investigation, and we determine what's truly the nature of our liability.
So that is truly a table then?
That's a table then, yes.
Okay,
But I don't want to table the whole thing, I just want to
I
table the
understand.
parts.
Thank you. Does everybody else understand the motion? I have a motion by Melendez and a second by Mr. Arguello. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed, like sign? Aye. Thank you. Mr. Arguello, do you still have a comment?
Yeah,
Terry passed it.
Yes. 3, 4, 2 against.
so what I understand then is if Mr. Clinch pulls his resignation, then he would be reinstated then. So that's according to what everyone has said here, he pulled up. So if we can go and we can woo Mr. Clinch to come back, then we would pull his resignation.
I don't think that's what I voted for. I
No,
voted
that's
for
not what
more
you voted
information.
for. What we voted for was to table that, right?
Okay, I just want to make
But,
sure
yeah.
that we're not putting words in my mouth.
No,
Yeah.
but the words were, this did not happen because anybody pushed him out. This is a big misunderstanding. Mr. Clinch left of his own, on his own. And so if that's not the case, then Mr. Clinch, please
Okay, so our attorney will bring back the matter once he has done his investigation.
Ms. Castillo, I just want to make sure I have it correct for the record. The motion is to approve the personnel agenda.
Yes.
Minus anything that has Mr. Clinch on it.
Great, there's the last three items at the end. There's administrative leave, there's administrative resignation, and administrative transfer. Those three items.
Mr. Melendez made the motion, Mr. Arguello seconded it. It passed 3-2.
Correct.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, can we move on to item 9.02? We have a comment from Ms. Chris Fontenot.
9.01.
Sorry.
Hello, my name is Chris Fontenot and I live at 1060 Erie Drive. I'm here to speak on Agenda 9.01, approval of out-of-state travel, more specifically the TESOL 2023 International Convention that will cost the district $16,100. This training caught my eye because it's held in Portland, Oregon, which, as some of you know, is where I'm from. This conference is focused on enhancing educators' ability to support their multicultural learners, is what's listed as the essential reason for travel. I sent an email to the board and Dr. Pace requesting details that pertain to the breakout sessions our district employees will be attending. Of the 12 sessions that were listed in the response, only 3 of them were referenced on the conference website with descriptions or learning objectives. I requested more information regarding the other 9 sessions but have not heard back yet. The reason this is concerning is because the breakout sessions highlighted on the event's academic sessions include but are not limited to topics like social justice, anti-racism, suggesting English language teachers have political, radical, and colonial foundations. The reality of ELTs is they experience inequity, privilege, marginalization, and discrimination within the workplace or school district, and incorporating queerness into English language classrooms and inviting conversation. Several of the keynote speakers also appear to align with these types of ideologies. The mission of TESOL, which is Teaching English to Speakers of Other Languages, clearly states that they advance their agenda through advocacy. The breakout session topics I mentioned are politically motivated activism. This begs the question, why is the district willing to spend over $16,000 for information obtained at a conference that would violate state statute to teach in Florida? This travel would be a complete waste of financial resources for our district and could instead be invested in textbooks the teachers have been requesting or local trainings that provide teaching workshops or strategies that adhere to Florida law that would benefit the students of Osceola County. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I believe that Melendez and Arguello pulled this item.
Yes. Let Mr. Arguello first. Go first.
Well, I just wanted to reiterate what I just last heard. So when I went through this and I go and I look at that's available at this conference, it appeared that everything that they were saying that you could see, or very much of it, would be illegal if they brought it back. So, I mean, why would we spend the money to send somebody there, which they couldn't even bring back if we wanted to have it here? It doesn't make any sense, and it seems like we're not getting the picture. Today, we discussed this morning, what we're doing is not working, but nothing changes. Here it is. Change what you know is not working. Anything that's infused with politics or whatever, just get rid of it. Don't look to advocate. Learn to teach math. Learn to teach English. Learn to teach these kids how to write. Why is it always something about, hey, we're going to teach these kids how they should be thinking. Hey, we're going to teach you to do this or vote this way or whatever. It's constant habit. Listen, if we can't get these kids to read and write at some point in the future, I mean, you can kiss those $300 million in New York City goodbye because no one would ever start a company here for any reason. We don't have the workforce. We're not creating a good workforce. I mean, we have kids in the middle school that can't write cursive when that's the biggest challenge that they have. I mean, there's stuff that's going on here, and the problem is that we're not challenging our kids to excel academically, or we're just failing on our level to provide these kids with a valuable education because it's wasting time sending people to vacations like this. I don't understand why it's constant. It's constant. You hear them all the time come and talk about this stuff would violate state statute. But we keep sending people to this advocacy retreats.
Thank you, Mr. Arguello. Mr. Melendez, I just want to acknowledge that there's 2 other folks that are interested in speaking, but you did pull it. So are you?
Oh, there's
are you-
public speakers? or-
No, I have
Oh, okay.
Dr. Pace and Board Member Booth are also on the line to speak.
Okay. So I'll try to make it as brief. This wasn't the original item I was looking at, but now that I look at it, this is a conference. I'm looking at some of the keynote speakers and their addresses here, the pandemic brain, science and strategies for optimal learning, stories of resilience and reinvention, transformative classrooms. You know, I'm not gonna sit here and say maybe one speaker doesn't have a specific, idea or background, but this is a national conference that's also sponsored by U.S. Department of State English Language Programs. And so I fully support, our staff going in there. And I'm pretty sure that, I saw who was going to. They're great staff. I'm pretty sure if there's a breakout session and there's a choice of sessions, they'll probably choose a session that's going to give them the greatest utility. Just like we do at FSBA. Somebody can look at FSBA and find out something about some kind of background of a speaker that they don't like. But to me, we need to get better, in all essence. So I'm going to support that, 100%, just to let you know. That wasn't what I was going to talk about. But the other thing I wanted to really talk about was that we have a serious deficiency of certified teachers in our classroom. And we spoke about it in our strategic plan about doing the best that we can to recruit. And I even took some fire last year when I was like, instead of an empty classroom, I'd rather take international somebody that's, certified in a subject matter better than no teacher at all and trying to pull, paraprofessionals to do 2 or 3 things at the same time. And I got hit for it, these J-1 visas, and I get it, but I'm willing to take that hit because I truly believe in my heart that the students need a certified teacher in front of them. And the benefit of Puerto Rico is the fact that it is not a foreign country. They are U.S. citizens. There's no permitting process. Every student that we capture is a student that we can bring back immediately, and we can catch them up to speed. And so I just want to, let staff know that that is something that is near and dear to my heart. I had spoken to Tammy before about that, I want to be able to be an ambassador to that. And I'm the only, of Puerto Rican descent on the school board. I was the first one elected. I do have some connections down there, and I don't want to sit back idle. If there's anything that I can do to help promote the district, get some of these teachers over here, I want to be able to support that effort. And just like I support our ESOL department getting them at the conference, even though there may be 1 or 2 speakers with a questionable background, I have a feeling that my staff are professionals. They know which one to go to.
Thank you so much for your comments.
So I'd like to amend it. When we get to motioning, I'd like to amend it and allow myself to be on there to attend the trip to go to Puerto Rico as well.
This is not the Puerto Rico, is it? This is the Puerto
No,
Rico.
there's a trip in there
Trip
too.
to go for recruiting for Puerto Rico.
It's the other part,
No, I got you.
It's the other part of it.
That is not usual business, one. That is, we have a board member who is going to an event and it's on the agenda for approval. Well, it is actually on there.
Now, if it's a process, then I have to wait till like the next.
Yeah,
I could wait till the next agenda item to get that.
I think I'm gonna yield the time back to Board Member Booth and Dr. Pace, and I have some serious questions and concerns about that. So, Board Member Booth and then Dr. Pace.
The real question I have is, so this is a USDO, we're only talking to the speaker about not the entire out-of-state travel schedule here. It's just the multicultural ed one, the TESOL convention in Portland, Oregon. To that point, when the U.S. Department of Education is sponsoring that, here's where I need information. Does this conference or the sessions meet Florida Department of Education and the governor's new standards to follow state law?
This is represented to me from the Executive Director for Multicultural Curriculum in a memo to Dr. Pace that this was approved by the Florida Department of Education, which would tell me there's some disconnect between the governor's office and the Florida Department, because I know the governor, I've researched a lot of this. That said, It does not violate law because what the law says is you can't. It basically prohibits any instruction on these type of topics. But there is a valid point or concern. They can't, if they go to one of the sections, now understand, there are 12. I don't know what's going to be said, right? And I couldn't find some stuff. They couldn't bring back anything to use that would violate Florida law. They could bring back whatever didn't violate Florida law. But I'm not here to tell you, I can't tell you the substance of what's going to be said.
Thank you. Dr. Pace and then Mr. Arguello.
For the record, Dr. Penalosa did respond in a memo form, which I sent to Ms. Fontenot. I did not respond back to Ms. Fontenot because we didn't have additional information because the team has not yet registered because it's not been approved by the board. So we only have the agenda as posted. This is a part of our Title III grant, federal title dollars specifically to support improving instruction for ELL learners. And we are sending or proposing to send members of our multicultural team of resource teachers, Dr. Long and Dr. Penalosa, who support learning for our ELL students, which, as Mr. Arguello pointed out, are not doing well according to our mid-year winter results, and we want to get better at our instructional practices. In addition, she's proposed sending Dr. Rolando, who is the principal at Kissimmee Middle, who has the highest number of ELL students in our district. Overall, as a reminder, there are 46 schools in our district that have more than 50% Hispanic students, and district-wide, our Hispanic student population is at almost 65%, 64.75. The specific sessions that Dr. Penalosa and her team are planning to attend include the presidential keynote, which is inspiring the future of research in English language teaching, a functional approach to language development in WIDA 2020, which is the required assessment, language proficiency assessment for all ELL students, a strength-based approach for inclusive and multicultural higher education, educating K-12 administrators in TESOL, the whys and the hows, teachers' identification of errors when evaluating L2 or language, the second language English student writing, translating pedagogies, developing practical strategies for the K-12 English medium classroom, using technology to teach, learn, and assess second language speaking, coaching for excellence in EL teacher education, evidence-based independent vocabulary learning strategies, multilingual learning in everyone's home language, strategies for integrated teaching of English language, English listening and speaking, revise, repeat, retain for vocabulary, teaching, and learning. And again, I would just say the expense was approved by the Florida Department of Education Student Achievement through Language Acquisition Office on January the 3rd of 2023 as a part of our Title III grant application.
Yes, sorry. Thank you. Just know that Mr. Arguello's, I'll call back on you. Yeah, he's ahead of you. I just wanted to make sure you didn't have any more questions.
I do. No, not questions, sorry, comments, yes.
Okay, go ahead.
We have a teacher here in Osceola County at Osceola High School, Mr. Hernandez, who does amazing work with his ESOL students. He gets them to write books. He's publishing books with their work. These kids are excelling. I think that we have a view here. I mean, what is the name of the multicultural director?
Dr. Penalosa?
Doctor, that's right. I mean, she has a degree, right? I mean, how many doctorates do we have in our district? Is that not why you get a terminal degree, so that you have the expertise already to create these programs? Why can't we do anything ourselves? We always need a consultant, a lobbyist, a Portland retreat, this, that. At what point do we begin to apply the knowledge that we have inside the district to learning? Does that happen at some point? Or every issue? Oh, there's a kid there who doesn't have a math books? Call the lobbyist. Let's have him come here with $1 million program, and then let's give it to every other kid, and then let's not even worry about how that contract works, or if they comply with their contract. And then, oh, that kid's grades are not so great. Okay, well, let's try number 2, call lobbyist B, and let's see how much money this guy can put before the board. If this guy, Mr. Hernandez, can do amazing things with his students with probably very little money, I don't understand why the district can't start teaching instead of sending people out to go continue learning. So all of our educators are learning like crazy, but our students are not. That's the situation that we've created. Thank you.
Thank you. Mrs. Booth, Board Member Booth, and then Board Member Melendez.
I keep going back to, I am here to follow state law. And so I have to be sure when.
You are not in violation of state law should you approve this.
Okay.
The violation comes by any of those people who go, if they come back to this district and teach or try and train people in these topics, because this board is established as a policy, it's not going to happen. All right, so the mere act of going doesn't violate Florida law. It's what occurs when people return. And I'm unable to tell you what they could learn or not learn.
And my comment is to suggest that all future conferences meet the FGOE and governor's standards, because we're held accountable for that as well.
Yes, that's why the first thing I noticed when I read the packet that I asked for was Florida Department of Education student approved this. So it was much like we had one in the past, another issue where they approved it. So we're not in violation sending. It's a policy decision by the board as to that decision.
Thank you. Thank you, Board Member Booth. Board Member Melendez.
To possibly alleviate some of Ms. Booth's concerns, because I do appreciate them. I don't know, I'm just making it up, really. I have no clue. I just want to play it. Sometimes I'll tell you, when I'm strong, I'm strong. This one I'm not strong on. Can they give you the itinerary of what they attend? To give you like a form of protection and say, hey, I attended this breakout session, I attended that breakout session, and that way they're in the clear. If they didn't attend the session that was.
I asked for that. I was told you couldn't get it until people were registered.
Right.
So.
And we just put there, maybe we just say it as a policy directive, not on there, the superintendent says, hey, when you get your breakout sessions, don't go to the ones that are prohibited by the state of Florida. If it's somewhat controversial, don't go to that one. Go to the ones that are clear, educational purposes that are going to be approved by the board. And I believe that if we can give that direction to the superintendent, then I believe that Ms. Booth's fears can be alleviated to a certain degree. Because you're right, it is a tightrope. There may be a bad speaker there. I don't know it. But if there is, that the superintendent just tells them, hey, exercise good judgment, and then maybe come back with proof to say, hey, these are the sessions that I went to. That just show that they weren't in violation.
I would not go to a couple of these keynote speakers, I can tell you right now.
Okay. What is the motion that we are entertaining on the floor?
I motion to approve it.
As is?
As is.
Have a motion by Board Member Booth. I will second that. I'm sorry, by Board Member Cahoon.
I'll second the motion.
Second by Board Member Melendez. Board, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed, like sign?
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you.
3-2, correct?
3-2. Cahoon, Melendez, Castillo. Next item on the agenda is 11.07. Please remind me to pull this item.
Mr. Aguirre.
Mr. Arguello.
Yeah, so I hesitate to even bring this up, but this is the whole point of transparency is this. This is not a large contract. I go through, I read the contracts, I research the company. If somebody gets awarded, I go, I Google them, I look at their website, I look at the BBB rating, I go through the process of checking all the people out who work with the district, considering that the school board has failed to force people to comply with their contracts. So I try to have knowledge of the people who are going. So, and I'm sure that there's many of these that I've missed, but I was actually on a search for the company that won the 11.07. I was literally in the process of writing hey, good job winning this award. You look like a great company, fantastic. And then, in that search, one step deeper, I realized that this person is connected to a local politician here in Osceola County. And then I'm like, can't we find anybody to take money from the school district who's not connected in some way, shape, or form? I mean, and it makes it feel like if when you're doing a random sample and you always find something wrong, then whatever. And this may be the greatest tree trimming company on the planet. Like I said, when I looked at them, they looked great. I was all for it. I was literally gonna say, hey, welcome to the school district. And then one step further, I see that, oh, well, this looks like what I've been complaining about for 2 years. So, I mean, this is not good outreach for procurement. This does not bring confidence in procurement. And you can see, like, in their contract, they're like the cheapest and boom, 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 they're the cheapest here. Okay, that's how the government works, right? Cheapest bidder. But then at the bottom, you see where things are not tracked. You see like the miscellaneous expenses, then it's the highest. That's the one that we wouldn't track. So is this gonna be like another friend of the district that has $30,000 in what's called out for, where it's saying, oh, they're the cheapest, it's only 30 grand to cut down this tree. But then it's $400,000 in miscellaneous work that we don't let the public know that they're being awarded. So there's no reason for me to say no, but it doesn't make the district look good. It does not make the procurement team look good at all for this to be the case. I think that we should, and at the next meeting I'll ask to put this on the agenda, is some kind of, I mean, it doesn't matter, I've already done it. I did it last year. I spent the whole time trying to remove conflicts of interest, but we have such a love affair with conflicts of interest, it didn't pass. So, I mean, I'm not sure. I'm just saying that there's not a lot of confidence in this. Not speaking ill of this tree company, but, I mean, it's really a procurement problem, and it's a culture problem here.
Thank you for your comments, Board Member Melendez.
I'm going to call a spade a spade. Just unfortunately, to some degree, somebody may have a relationship, but when I look at the score sheet, this is a hard bid, so it's not an RFP. So it's harder to mess with a hard bid than it is to mess with an RFP, because an RFP has a formula. So when I look at this, they're $40,000. You know, and they had 3 other personnel, so it wasn't even bidding against the other ones. And the other thing too is, the other 3 aren't even local. One of them's in Melbourne, one of them's in Columbia, Mississippi, I believe, and the other one's in, kind of read sideways. The point is, they're not Osceola County. So not only are they the cheapest vendor that provided a bid that was publicly announced, but they also are a local vendor, which is something that I promote as well. So I like to call smoke when there's smoke, but just because they have a relationship with someone, to me, isn't enough smoke to justify voting against them. So with that, I'll be supporting this wholeheartedly.
Is that a motion?
Yeah, I motion to approve the sentiments.
I have a motion by Mr. Melendez, a second by Ms. Board Member Cahoon, and I have one comment, so I will entertain a comment before the vote. Mr. Arguello.
No, I agree, which is like I said, that's why I was gonna say to them, hey, welcome, I'm glad that you got this contract. If you go down to the bottom of the contract, you'll see where the problem is. At the bottom of the contract, that's the open end number. So it's cheaper along the line. So if you were a corrupt procurement system, what you would do is you would allow this person to be the cheapest in everything, and then when you have the open end question or open end work, there you leave it blank. And so what happens is that's where all the money goes. So this person's $50,000, this one is $150, this one's $200, this one's $250, and then that's what you can total up. And then where there's the big blank, you have the highest number, so you can see that the hourly rate for miscellaneous work is what is higher. But I'm not making.
You can approve this, say, with no expenditure beyond.
There's already a motion and a second for that to come forward.
I'm not gonna do that to this business owner. Like I said, they are local. I was gonna tell them congratulations. I was gonna say this is exactly what we want to happen. The problem is that when you dig further, it's never just okay. It's always something. That's my point. So nothing always can just be good without too much salt. There's always something, you know. And that's not because of me looking. Like I said, I was in the process of trying to reach out to them and saying, hey, congratulations, welcome to the district. So I hope this is a great company. I hope that everything's fine. I imagine it will be. But again, with a culture like this at the Osceola County School District where we have had issues of conflict of interest, this is a particular interest.
Thank you. Motion and a second. Board, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion passes. Thank you. 11.09.
Yes, Madam Chair. I pulled this one because, again, I like to call a spade a spade. The other one doesn't exist. I don't want to try to call wolf on everything that exists. But this was a specific issue that came before the school board last year or 2 years. I can't remember the time. The point was before the two prior board members had come. I had reviewed their real estate brokerage contract, and they had items in the contract that did not apply to the school district. And so it's not in here, we're just renewing their contract. But when they wrote the lines of insurance, they're the ones that wrote in their business income loss. And we don't have business income loss. That's a template that's derived from private organizations, not nonprofit entities or school districts like us. They also had earthquake coverage. I don't think there's earthquake coverage in the state of Florida. So we went over there and it looked like, and then his response at the time to those things were, oh, it's just a little bit of money, like, well, it's a little bit of money, but it's the school district money. And so to me, that was an immediate red flag to let us know that this insurance broker is not taking the level of detail to look at what they're offering to us as a policy to try to save the district as much money as possible. And so, other than me doing like a direct ban on them from ever applying again, I try to let the process go. And then when I look at the score sheet, and I even kind of questioned the score sheet, because they made those technical errors at the last meeting that I called them out, that should be reflected in your score. So when we look at ability, capacity, and skill of the proposer, they should be, whoever ranked the score sheet, it ranked them at 4.4, 5.45, whatever, and yet it ranked the other company a lot lower. And they shouldn't have ranked them lower. I caught them. I read their contract, and they had 2 provisions on the contract that don't apply to the school district and said that it's only a little bit of money. And I'll even contradict my own argument, but just to show you how unequal this is. Relevant experience, they're the current contractor. Theoretically, they should have all 5s because they have the relevant experience. They hired the current property insurance person at the district, and they didn't get perfect 5s across the board. So whoever even scored it didn't even score it appropriately. They gave 4.5, 4.4, but they're the current person. They can't have more relevant experience than being the person that's currently doing the contract, unless you think that they're not doing the contract adequately. So I even question their ability to know how to fill out a score sheet, because you can't have more relevant experience than the person doing the job. So they contradict themselves in their own ability to do the contract correctly. So again, I like to argue points and facts, not personal agendas or who they are. I technically found them with 2 provisions on their contract they offered a district that does not apply to us. They were overcharging this district, and yet we did nothing to punish them and let them know that if somebody else can come and apply for the district. And then we have a score sheet where we didn't reflect that proven fact. We could pull the tape on a past archive of that agenda where I found it, and yet that's not in there. So I don't even have faith in this specific score sheet. I have faith in the purchasing department. I'm not trying to call this a boogeyman or conspiracy, but I just know specifically this one, it does not apply, because I personally took offense because I like to save money. I'm the cheap board member. I like to save every dollar that we can. And I got extremely offended when a broker told me in our face at a public board meeting that, oh, it's just a little bit of money. You know what I mean? So there has to be some form of consequence to a vendor that does not want to save every dollar they can, because I got teachers that want every dollar they can. And every dollar I can save in one area, I know there's categoricals, you can't always move back and forth, but the reality is, it's the fact that you show people that we're doing the best to close our wallet as much as I can. And so with that, I don't even have faith in that. So I would even rebid this out and then reconsider who sits on these selection committees and retrain them on how to properly score or sheet.
Is that a motion?
Yes, that is a motion.
What is the motion? Please state it clearly.
The motion is to withdraw this bid, to reject the bids, to train staff on how to properly score a bid, and
Please
what.
keep the motion directly to the item that is before us.
Yeah, that is an item. They're not scoring it properly.
I would say that's an opinion.
I can agree with that, but that's my opinion based on fact. But, it is an opinion. So Okay, well, if you want to tell me how to write a motion, then you want to write my motion for me. It's kind of confusing, you know, I mean, I'm kind of lost, you know, it's like, you write my motion, or do I get to write a motion, you get to vote against what I
To
write?
be clear, Mr. Melendez, what is the motion regarding item 11.09 and only item 11.09?
Okay, then if that's, okay, then to reject this bid, have them rebid it.
Thank you. I have a motion by Mr. Melendez to reject the bid. Do I have a second? Motion dies. Mr. Arguello.
Yeah, if I remember correctly, what they were stating was that they had an extra policy, it was like $1,500 extra, that earthquake policy or whatever, that we were not gonna use, but the problem was that that was part of, it did not reduce the premiums with that vendor. If we had changed vendor, it would have been more expensive without the earthquake policy. So, I mean, that's the way insurance works. I'm very familiar with insurance. Sometimes they have a policy or whatever, they write it in. It just, to change the vendor is not worth the $1,500 that you might save. And so that was the issue with this company. When I looked through this policy, I didn't see anything that was, yeah, maybe, I mean, these are the same people that basically, it's almost the same people every time who are most of these committees. So, I mean, I don't really see there's anything, I don't see that there's any issue with this contract or this premium. If there's a problem with this premium, and if they're not scoring it correctly, and if they're not doing anything, it's because of the district's culture. It's not because of this company, which is doing exactly what any insurance company would be doing.
Motion to approve.
Second. Motion by Board Member Booth, second by Board Member Cahill. Board, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, like sign?
Aye.
Motion passes 4-1. Thank you. Item 11.11, and I will just pause for whoever pulled this, I don't remember. Are the rest of the items that were pulled 11 through 11:15 because of the same issue, or are they individual issues?
It's kind of the same issue. So we can discuss en masse if that's,
I think that might be. Okay, no problem, no problem. Let's just discuss them one by one. Thank you. 11.11.
so my issue with these contracts is that they're open-ended. And so why couldn't we have a better idea as far as these contracts? This says may go in excess of 50 grand.
So this is contracts related to pharmacy, to RSM, two RSM contracts, and.
This is not RSM. This is Ventegra.
Sorry, I'm talking, you said they were the same issue, so I'm listing.
RSM is not one of them. So if you look at Ventegra, it may exceed $50,000. And then the contract itself is 2 pages of a contract which is not very descriptive at all. It's basically 3 paragraphs.
Okay, Dr. Pace, I do have you on the docket for speaking, and then Mr. Melendez.
Thank you, Madam Chair. If I may invite Lauren up to the podium, she can help us with some additional information. Just for a frame of reference, Ventegra is the pharmacy benefits manager that we have been working with since we started our new health plan. They have outperformed the projection in terms of savings on our our drug expenses, pharmacy expenses, and have delivered, to the best of my knowledge, excellent customer service.
Absolutely. So Ventegra, why it says may exceed 50,000, is going to exceed 50,000, but it's based on a per member per month. So depending on how many employees, how many of their family members are on the plan, that's how they get paid the $2.75. On top of that, there is for SkySail, which is later on that you guys also pulled, is their monitoring fee, which is 0.625 per member per month. So it's a total of $3.37 per member per month for that. So that's why it says exceed $50,000.
Yeah, so why would the contract be written in that manner, though, where it just says may? I understand that there's a membership issue, membership changes, but then, in my opinion, there's 2 things that are missing in this item. Number 1 would be the corresponding materials that we ask to be put on these contracts. Sometimes we're looking for the justification. this provided a good return, this is the reason, this is the ROI, this is how we measured that, right? It doesn't have any of that, and it's also open-ended, so we should have an idea, maybe, you know, I mean, there should be an idea, right? We could speculate what it's gonna be around, right? You know,
May I add a level of context, please?
go ahead.
Are you finished? And I have to interrupt you because I don't have a light.
Yeah, go
Are you
ahead.
finished? And I'm saying this because you ask, other board members may ask this too, but I've noticed that you've asked that question a couple of times when the contract states may exceed $50,000 and it's
I've
open-ended.
never asked that, actually.
But it's fine. I'm actually trying to make a point. The reason why those types of contracts say may exceed is because that is a level that Dr. Pace can approve without our approval. So that's why it's open-ended. However, I do think that there is merit in putting a cap on what we can spend the way that we do with some of our facilities contracts, instead of saying may exceed, because it's because we don't know, and that's Dr. Pace's threshold. But we might have an open conversation for a cap with how much are we willing to pay for that service. That's all I wanted to add. Mr. Arguello.
Yeah, actually, this is the first time I asked that because I normally have noticed, but the problem is that we do know about how much it's gonna be because we know about how many employees we'll have on any given time. So there's no reason, it's the open-endedness, it's not the fact that it says may exceed, because we've had many contracts that say may exceed. The issue is, we know what it's going to be. So is it gonna be $60,000 or is it gonna be $150,000? That's important for it to be in here, you know, as opposed to just may exceed $50,000. That's not a high threshold, is my point. So why would we put that low of a threshold when we know it's gonna be more than that?
Thank you. Mr. Melendez, I apologize for skipping over you.
That's okay. No, because you said exactly where I was gonna go. Instead of it saying, do not, because you don't know where it is, I'd rather say a cap. A cap was the exact word I was gonna say. You know, you said do not exceed instead of may exceed, you know, like you said, because it says here, when you read the description, it says at the same administration fee. Well, we know what the fee is, well then, you know, and then, so I think we need to know the total dollar amount that maybe that we're even possibly on the hook for. So don't even try to project how many employees would sign up. Just if every employee that's eligible for it did sign up, what would be that total cost? You know what I mean? In that way, because to be honest with you, this is coming from the Healthcare Trust Fund, correct?
It is.
So that is something that we have to look at. When you look at, when somebody was to analyze this and say, oh, it's $50,000, oh, no big deal. But, you know, we may have to subsidize the trust fund. We may have to, like, spend money differently. And if the total dollar amount was not to exceed, like, say, $3 million, because it's per person, per whatever, then I was like, whoa, your evaluation of this contract is a whole lot different. But when you're looking at it at $50,000, you're like, man, we got a $10 million trust fund or $20 million. What's $50,000? That's nothing. But it's never going to be $50,000 because you just told me per person, $6 per person. We got at least, what, 4,000 people? What was the price that you said?
$3.70.
See, matter of fact, that $3 per person needs to be in the agenda item. So that's actually a more of an accurate representation to say it's $3 per employee.
So the Ventegra contract is a one-year extension. So we just finished we're about to finish the 3-year initial contract, and they have 2 one-year extensions. So that's what's in front of you is the first year.
How much money did we spend on them last year?
And 337 times 81 to 93, it just depends on the month of how many employees and members we have. So 8,100 or 9,300. I don't have the total.
That's for both Osceola and Ventegra.
Correct.
That's for the 2 contracts together.
Yep.
And as a reminder, you're getting quarterly updates on our health trust fund expenses, including Ventegra's performance as evaluated by Osceola. But if you want us to break out specifically that per member per month, but that per member per month is the cap. The variable number is the number of members per month.
Who are going to sign up? 'Cause
Correct.
We don't know who's going to sign up.
But the actual fee per member per month is the cap. It is what it is, and it's the same fee that we've paid for the last 3 years that we're proposing to bring forward the extension.
Right. And then I guess the last thing that I can ask them, because I know it's like the company's saying that's okay, what do we know the competition, what are they charging? is that a good price compared to what the competition is charging per member per month? And
Yeah.
has anybody looked into
Our
that?
program is pretty unique because it's a transparent model. The only thing they make off of us is the administrative fee. So other companies, the other big bukas of the world, that make money off the actual price of the medication, they're only making this fee off of us. That's why we're able to see such a big savings when we moved over to this plan.
So in other words, we don't have another company that we're comparing to?
There's other ones under, and Sky still helps us monitor them. And everything that Ventegra's been doing for us has been coming back and exceeding what they've agreed to in our contract. So even yesterday, I had a call with Ventegra and Sky Sale, and they have pricing now that's even better than our international pharmacy for certain drugs. So they're even beating the international pharmacy's pricing.
Well, I guess moving forward, I guess my point is that, and this is just a one-year renewal, we'll go ahead and do that. But let's say when the contract does expire, I would like to compare, just like we do with software renewals, what is the marketplace doing? You know what I mean? Like, what else is out there? And that way we can compare. So, because it is an extension, we're not gonna change the whole world for 1 year. But before we do a 3-year contract renewal, that we do some kind of RFP or some kind of analysis of the marketplace.
We do it each time. Right now, we're out for bid for life insurance because of that same reason.
That's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Melendez. Mr. Arguello?
Yeah, just to get quickly back to the point, if it were gonna be 55,000 or even 60,000 or even 65,000, no big deal, right? But we know we're looking at like $300,000, right? So why wouldn't we put that instead of exceed? And I know that's the threshold, so we use that number. That's the point I'm getting at, is in these contracts and in the documentation that we have from purchasing, it should say an actual idea to give you a legitimate idea as opposed to just being underfunded, not, so.
I'll work with purchasing on that.
Thank you. Board Member Booth?
Actually yielding to Frank.
In order to avoid this in the future, Sarah, 2 people that generally come with contracts are at a purchasing and at a facilities. So, on Thursdays when I look and somebody hands me an amendment, I always say, give me the original agreement too. I think if we would add to the agenda when we're amending the original agreement and the amendment, the board will be able to track what we paid the previous year and then what is proposed, then every question should be answered.
I like that idea. Thank you, Frank.
Thank you. If I can have Frank, do you have a light in front of you? No?
No, I wish I did.
You used to have one. I feel like, is that
I
something
think-
we can do?
I think Mr. Arguello took it when he said me.
It's in your wastebasket.
Okay, thank you, Laura. Okay, do we have a motion for item 11.11?
Motion to approve.
Second. I have a motion by Board Member Arguello and a second by Board Member Booth. Board, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, like sign. Motion passes. Thank you. 11.12.
Motion to approve.
Second.
I have a motion by Board Member Booth, second by Board Member Melendez. Board, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, like sign.
Aye.
Having opposed, motion does pass, but Mr. Arguello, you do have a comment or a question.
Yeah, I wasn't quick on the draw on that button there. But the reason I pulled it was because this is very contrary, which we discussed in a workshop, but this is very contrary to the idea of an internal auditor. An internal auditor is specifically supposed to do things like check what our human resources, which they did. And this is an IT function that they're performing. So for me, as a district, it's very convenient to have something where you know what the problems are gonna be already. We should be hiring a vendor to replace that service. It should not be a function of RSM, and RSM should be continuing to act as an actual independent and internal auditor. So, but all that's been stated, so.
It would change the funds that we pay for it. Like, to approve it instead of coming from the audit budget, coming from the IT budget. But we'll just talk about that moving next year. Okay, that's fine. But at least that's something for new business in 1 year, is to move the budget. I think we spoke about that in the workshop.
Thank you. 11.03, this was pulled. 11.13, sorry.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by Board Member Booth, second by Board Member Melendez. For all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, like sign.
Aye.
Motion passes 4-1. Thank you. We also had 11.14 pulled.
Motion to approve.
Motion by Board Member Booth. second? Second by Board Member Cahoon. Board, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, like sign?
Aye.
Motion passes 4-1. 11.15.
Motion to approve.
I pulled this one.
Yes.
And just to congratulate her. I know it seems like it might be crazy, but I pulled this one because Lori Jumbury is an amazing person. Heather, you selected somebody that I've worked with before in the past, with Main Street, and she has her own non-profits, and she works with different organizations, so I think she'll make an excellent selection on the General Audit Committee.
Thank you. Congratulations, Laura. I have a motion to approve by Board Member Booth. Second by Board Member Cahoon. Board, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. Opposed, like sign? Motion passes. 12.01. Who pulled this one?
I did.
Thank you.
All right, now here's the same issue. The former school board member, Clarence Thacker, used to always give us a speech about establishing a precedent. And it's careful, you gotta be careful in establishing a new precedent. This is the heart of what we're talking about, and I'm gonna use a different argument, but I'm gonna show you why it's tied in. When we talk about having enough certified teachers and meeting the class size amendment, when we develop so fast, it's hard to keep up with hiring new teachers to keep up with that development. This is a for-profit entity developing houses. I think it was it 2,000 houses in here? At $12,000 an impact fee, right? I'm just giving you a rough estimate. So at $12,000 times 2,000 houses, by the time this development is done, they're gonna owe us $24 million to help us build the school. And so I'm a little bit older than some of you folks here on the board anyway. I'm not older than folks, but I've been on the board. Back in the day, we used to donate land. And legally speaking, Rhonda said at the last meeting, we're technically allowed to do that. And it's just that the issue is when you donate land, and I didn't understand it when she first said it, but now I really get it, is when you do your future impact fee analysis, you have to use real data of what you paid for something to calculate what that impact fee would be. And I forgot that land is just a component of the construction. So even if we ask developers to donate the land, the impact fee isn't gonna get reduced that far, because it's only a component of the construction. Trust me, construction has been skyrocketing like crazy. Trust me, with this post-COVID, post-supplies, whatever amount of money that we're gonna get as a free land, we're gonna be paying for it in construction. So let's just say, instead of collecting $12,000 in impact fee, we'll probably collect $10,000 in impact fee, because that extra 20% is an adjustment or factorial for the land being donated. So I wanna get back into that, because the reason for that is that, and the other developer came here last time and said that, that money would help me build the infrastructure I need to get this project going forward. And the reality is, I'm like, wow, I didn't know the school district was there to help you move your project forward. And I'm not happy to help a project move forward to somebody that's gonna be creating more houses and create a bigger burden on the school district, And then he was like, well, I could still do it on my own without the school board's help, but I would have to get a loan to do that. And so the market rate is high. I know, it's 6 or 7%. So sad, so sad. I wish the market would tell me, please slow down this development so I wouldn't have 10,000 houses so I can get enough teachers to go here. So that's actually a good thing. So that way there's no adversarial relationship, there's no lawsuits. If the person or the developer does not have the cash flow sufficiently to build these houses and to pay their impact fees, then we should not be giving them $2 million of that money. So we're gonna give them a $2 million advance. Or not advance, the point is, they're gonna owe us $24 million. So we'll pay you $2 million to then get $22 million later. But how does that benefit the school district? It benefits the developer. The developer gets to say, hey, I got $2 million cash in the bank that I didn't have to borrow, interest-free. It's basically partnering with the developer to make the community go. And this is a for-profit entity. This isn't workforce housing. This isn't affordable housing. They may be a great developer. It's nothing to do with the developer. Like if the school board wants to give me $2 million, I'll take $2 million all day. So, but to me though, it goes to the heart of the issue that if we give this $2 million to these folks to do their development, that's just bad precedent. They should just, that's their cost of doing business. If they can't afford it, they need to slow down. And what a perfect way to naturally market-based correction of some developers to slow down and stop building so many houses so darn quickly because they'll just say, oh, they gave us impact fee money. Oh, great. I could build a school. I built a school, but I don't have any teachers to put in it. So what good is it? So I have a beautiful building that looks like the Taj Mahal, but I don't have certified teachers that I can fill in it to educate the kids. So that's why I'm very passionate about this. And I'm just saying, this is the wrong way to go. And we as a board have even the authority to ask for them to get it for free. I'm not asking it for free. I'm just willing to say it needs to be an impact fee credit the way we just did it before, you know? And we just recently, in the last board meeting, approved a $2 million precedent. So now all the developers are like, oh man, I can get me $2 million, that's the new number. So I'm gonna get me $2 million from the school district every time I need to do it. And that is, boy, that rubs my craw the wrong way, especially if you're dedicated, and this is my last point, especially if you're dedicated to helping the students of Osceola County. And we just had a presentation last week that our buses, we had to adjust the bus schedule because because traffic is so bad, and so we had to adjust all this. But yet, we're gonna give a developer $2 million to build more houses. Boom! That totally blows my mind. And I apologize if that's out of order or lack of decorum, but holy moly macaroni. You know, I can't believe we're giving a developer $2 million, and I'm vehemently opposed to it. But I would give him an impact fee credit for that money because he is giving us the land. And the other thing I have, because I'm a real estate broker, is if I was in charge, if I was like a strong chairwoman or chairman, you know, what I would do is the developer, when they first buy their land, they're buying it at a discount. Why are they taking that discount and they're flipping it to us at appraised value at the highest and best use? They probably bought it as a cattle farm ranch, you know, at $200 an acre. I'm making up, it's not $200 an acre, but they didn't want to sell it to us at highest and best. You know, and if I was a strong chair, I would sit there and say, hey, developer, the minute you buy a property, you know that you're gonna buy the property at enough acres with enough houses that's gonna trigger you to having to donate the land of a school. We buy the property then, at that price. As a matter of fact, I'll advance you the $2 million. I'll give you the $2 million in advance to buy the property, because now we're locking in a lower rate. But now I gotta wait to the very end, pay highest and best use. After you converted it, and you only converted it because you got approval of the school district to build it. I'm sorry, that went off a little bit, but to me, that's where the dots start connecting, and I wish more people were educated in that process. And to me, when board members do homework, that is a part of a homework that we have to start considering, that is huge. This is a dangerous precedent of giving millions of dollars to a developer and to allow them to build more houses.
Thank you, Mr. Melendez, and a moment of privilege. You don't have to be a strong chairwoman to make decisions. All I do is run the meeting. Mr. Arguello?
Yeah, all of a sudden, I'm in favor of the 3-minute rule. So it's actually more than $30 million in fees that would be generated by this, and we don't have a school that we're building for $30 million. So all of our schools are 3 times that amount, essentially. So we are giving them, this is bad policy. Unfortunately, we're not creating a precedent with this. We're following the precedent which has been established already for more than 10 years. So I also am absolutely opposed to this. If the county commission can't do their job and watch the growth of our government in some kind of responsible way, then we should do ours and at least watch the growth of our schools and our ability to deliver education in some appropriate way. And this is one way. When the county refused to meet with us on different issues, which they have, this is a good way to remind them that this governance is a partnership with all municipalities in a manner that's supposed to benefit the people, not the developers necessarily, not all the other people that it benefits, and it does benefit quite a few, but relatively it's not that many. So I'm also opposed.
Are you making a motion?
I'll let Mr. Melendez make a motion. Well,
Are they willing to, I don't want to oppose for the sake of opposing, because eventually we have to pay them. But I want it to be an impact fee credit instead of a cash payment. So the same $2 million, but as an impact fee credit.
Thank you. You can approach Dr. Pace.
I was just going to say that Thomas Robinson from Gray Robinson is here to represent Bellaterra and speak to this agreement.
Yes, thank you, Dr. Pace. Good evening, Chair, members of the board. Tom Sullivan with the Gray Robinson Law Firm. I'm here on behalf of Whaley Farms, who's the property owner and the master developer for the community. Just a couple background points, and then I'll address the credits question. First of all, and we've worked closely with Mr. Kruppenbacher, also with Rhonda and your staff in developing this agreement over quite a few months, actually. And originally, the site was identified as an elementary school site, 15-acre site. Pretty early on in the negotiations, your staff told us, hey, look, we want to see, the school board wants to see K-8 sites here. We need 20 acres. We kind of reworked our plan to accommodate that. There's also a shared recreation area here that's a component that I think is kind of a win-win for everyone. We've worked with both the county and your staff on that, so that'll be part of this. And then I think it was mentioned. I mean, we're just trying to follow your established process here. We've worked closely with your staff on it. We've paid attention to other projects that have come forward, including the discussion. I think it was last month or the month before. And with regard to the $2 million figure, I want to just kind of explain this from my understanding, because I think there's a little bit of a disconnect here. So just sequentially speaking, when this contract is signed by the parties, we have to undertake quite a number of steps in order to get the school site essentially pad ready, meaning that we've got to bring in a ton of different fill dirt, which is very expensive. You mentioned the price of vertical construction, which absolutely is through the roof, but so is the horizontal infrastructure as well, which I'm sure everyone knows. So not only do we have to bring in a bunch of fill dirt, we've got to flatten the land, we've got to bring in all the utility infrastructure, we've got to get the roads and the access, everything squared away in order for you to access it. That costs money. We're going to be coming out of our pocket in order to develop the site in that manner so that we can only then, I should say, actually sell it to you and close on it. And at that point, we're, in my view, almost being reimbursed that money that we've already spent for the $2 million. From there, and just talking about the deal structure overall, I do think it's a fair deal, and frankly, I think it's a pretty good deal for the district because of the fact that you're only getting, we'll get those credits if the appraisal comes back over $2 million. If it's less than $2 million, the way this reads, we just get the cash and that's it. But if we get additional credits, we get those credits, which is basically paper money or almost monopoly money, if you will. And then we have to in turn get a home builder to come in, buy those credits from us, and we only get paid back that money at, whatever, if it's a single-family home, $11,000 or so, whatever the current rate is. So that's a slow payback over time by the time we get that done. So hopefully that, at least from our perspective, whether we agree or just agree to disagree on some of this stuff, I just want to share that perspective with you. So
Without being respectful, I just want to clarify something.
Sure.
For my own purposes. Why is it a slow payback? Because, and here's my interpretation, I could be wrong. I just want clarification. I don't mean this.
Yeah, no, sure. Yeah.
But this current development is going to pay us, I guess, again, it was like 20-something million. We'll just give you credit and you use the credit right away. And it only pay us 20 million. So you don't have to sell it. I don't understand why you have to sell it to a third party when you're on the hook to pay the district when you complete the
Right,
houses
but the
yourself.
thing, right.
Just use the impact fee credit right then and there for yourself.
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. Well, the reality, though, is the impact fees get paid at building permit issuance, right? So there's no market for anyone to pay us for those credits until they're ready to build a house. That's why there's a delay there that will take time to actually receive that money from somebody that's actually willing to pay us for the credits that you give us. Does that make sense? So essentially, we're out of the gate, like I said, we put all this infrastructure in, we get the site pad ready, that costs us money. The $2 million at closing basically reimburses us for that. Anything north of that amount, we get credits for, but we won't get money. We'll get a paper, I think it's described in the agreement as a voucher or impact fee credits from the district, but we can't convert that paper assignment of credits into money until a home builder wants to build a house. So that's going to be staggered out over time when they actually are willing to does that make sense?
Yeah, I
That's my point, whether we agree or not, that's how, yeah.
No, I can understand that, and I'm just trying to understand the thing, so there's a delayed gratification, but then that's kind of the argument that I was saying before. Well, you're a for-profit entity, like, why should I try to undelay your gratification? What am I getting out of it?
Right.
You know what I mean? I'm like, you know.
What you're getting though is you're getting a school site that's 100% ready to build a school on when you're planning and your facility folks want to build it. And we're out of pocket that money until closing, and then from there, I mean, if, let's just say that's worth.
That's like the cost of doing business though, because you
Right.
have to build a school. You build 2,000 houses, there should be some kind of, what there is in the
Yeah.
law. Make sure
Well, I think it's a
you build
fair,
school.
yeah.
It's not like, oh.
Yeah, we may have different
maybe-
perspectives on it, but I think for the reasons I said, I think it's a fair arrangement, and it's one that we're just trying to, like I said before, we're just trying to follow kind of what you all have done before, so, we'd respect
And that was the
what you do
precedent
here
that I
too.
was talking about. That's a dangerous precedent that the school board does. Now these people come out here, and it's not, you asked for it, man. If the district gives you 10,
Yeah,
then take
well, no,
it.
but I don't think it's a sweetheart deal that you're implying that it is, but, yeah, so.
Thank you, Mr. Melendez. Do you have a clarification to what Mr. Melendez is saying, or can I have Ms. Arguello go next?
Let the board go first.
Mr. Arguello.
Yeah, so really my comment is, we're not getting a school site, you're getting a school site. Without that school site, you probably wouldn't sell many homes. And not only would you not sell many homes, the only thing that you would be promising is traffic, right? So, I mean, the school site is also a marketable asset to you guys, knowing that you're gonna have a community school in, and it helps developers come in, it helps the entire business model. It's a partnership, right? So, we could build schools. It doesn't have to be within your development. We can continue building schools. It's a partnership. The problem is that the precedent, we're not setting a precedent. The precedent has been set, right? You're following the precedent that has been set. The problem with that precedent is that this district has not done a good job, in my opinion, of creating that situation where in the prior people would donate land or whatever. The partnership was much stronger. Now, because of Osceola, for whatever reason, it is just like, hey, fast roll these developments. This is the way it's gonna be done. And the staff has coordinated this, and then, they come here and we come here and we rubber stamp it, and and so on and so forth. And the one thing that I do agree with Mr. Melendez is that you have to use the resources that you have to bring balance to a community. That's really the issue. The funding mechanism, I understand, because I do understand that delay, you guys don't get the money. It's not, I know that financially, it's not that big of a deal, right? In my opinion, the process would work where you guys would give us a site, we would build the site, we would build a school. That's a more symbiotic relationship right now, as opposed to, we don't gain that much from the partnership, right? Yeah, we gain this piece of land. Chances are, if we wanted to fight over land with any entity, we would be okay, right? But we're already way back on the number of schools that we need to even be in Florida statute, right now, I mean,
4 schools.
yeah, we can't even, with what we have and the development that's on the books right now, the schools that we're building are already full, right? And if you build a neighborhood without a school, the chances are there's no developer is gonna touch you with a 10-foot pole, all right? Especially when you add traffic of Osceola. So, I mean, it's beneficial. Everybody comes here and they're like, hey, this is what we've done, this is good, $2 million, and I know, and I understand that. So I'm not in disagreement. If I were standing on
No,
the
I
side of the
appreciate
board,
that,
I completely understand.
And I do think, not to address everything you said, but I think we do see it as a partnership. I think this agreement reflects that, and I can understand that you have a different viewpoint about some of it, but I do think the school is an asset to the community. So, thank you. Yeah.
I have a motion by Board Member Booth to approve item 12.01. Do I have a second? Second it. Second by Board Member Cahill. Board, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed, like sign?
Aye.
Motion passes 3-2.
Thank you.
Madam Chair,
Yeah, I'm sorry.
could I ask, would the board be okay with, under my seat next time, Rhonda and I discuss with you the acquisition of land? Because in my experience, staff has had one arm turned behind the back. For example, we were told you can't condemn. Sometimes that helps you get the deal you want, right? We were told don't land bank. all right? Sometimes you land bank because you know what's coming and you get it at the price it is then. Like, I think it's time for you all to review that so that we don't every time go it's a policy and we're just gonna keep doing it. If you decide to keep doing it, great, that's your decision, but I think you ought to know what are the options. The state wiped out. You know, I'm the guy who wrote the Martinez Doctrine in Orange County that said all development stopped unless you gave us a school site, okay? Well, Tallahassee wiped out the ability to have that kind of leverage. It may be there are times you look at the county when we're asked for comments and you say, we don't have school capacity. We were told in the past you're never to say that. You all, as a new board, need to decide, do you say it or don't you say it? I don't know the answer. I honestly will tell you, but I can tell you there are times my responsibility is to protect this district, so I'm going to lay out for you all the arrows in the quiver, all right? And sometimes you stand up and look at another government and say, we can't handle 20,000 homes. We don't have the money to buy all these sites, or whatever the answer is. So if that's all right, Madam Chair, I'd like to put that under my agenda and have Rhonda and I go through and have you give some direction on
That
some of this
sounds,
stuff.
how long do you think that conversation will take? I'm asking because I'm trying to determine if this is a board meeting situation or something
workshop,
else.
yeah.
Before I answer, is Julia's going to participate in that conversation?
Well, next board meeting we have, we're gonna discuss limits to,
Rhonda, 30 minutes at the most, or shorter.
that does not sound like a,
15 minutes, we'll deliver it.
and then you're asking us to make decisions?
Well, I'll tell you what,
No,
if
just
you want to
directions,
put it
more
as a
workshop.
workshop,
That
that's
sounds like a
fine.
workshop to me.
You can add it to the facilities.
I don't know what the rest of the board
But we
feels, but.
do it as a workshop, it would be better, because you're going to need to, we need some direction on this. Otherwise, all you're going to do is have us coming back every time.
Okay, it sounds like, correct me if I'm wrong, but the board is in consensus to have a workshop for this issue. And it also sounds like we have a solution, next facilities workshop, is that sufficient for you? Yes, wrong side.
Is that enough time for staff to get it together?
We'll be ready.
Okay, thank you.
We may have to extend the time for that facilities workshop because there are a lot of things on the docket in terms of construction that we've been trying to provide the board updates on.
Understood. Dr. Pace, was that your comment or was it
I
someone
just
else?
was going to say this will require a workshop.
Okay, we're all in agreement then. Thank you. Thank you, board. We're gonna move over to our regular agenda. We did have an item that's pulled, which means we have to vote on each one of these individually. So the first,
Which one was pulled? Just one.
15.04.
So motion approved 1501.
Second.
Motion approved 1502.
What?
I just
Thank
turned it
you.
around.
Motion by Board Member Melendez, second by Board Member Booth. Board, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, like sign? 4.
Motion to approve 1502.
Wait, hold on,
Oh, I'm
because
sorry.
somebody, he didn't vote, so you need to record that.
You didn't vote?
No.
We had to get it up, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, next, thank you.
Motion approved 1502.
Motion by,
Erica already motioned.
motion by Board Member, can I please have 2 seconds to articulate the motion? Motion by Board Member Booth, second by Board Member Melendez. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed, like sign? Well, there we go. 4, 1 abstention or no vote. Next.
Motion to approve 1503.
Second.
Motion by Booth, second by Melendez. 4, all those in favor?
Aye.
4, 1, no vote.
Motion to approve 1505.
Second.
So the item that was pulled wasn't even discussed?
No, Dr. Pace.
Oh, sorry,
Dr.
I'm
Pace
sorry.
pulled it
Okay,
from
okay.
Dr. Pace.
1505, Booth, second.
Melendez.
Melendez, 4, all those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, perfect. 1601,
Motion approved.
Second.
motion by Melendez, second by Booth. 4, all those in favor?
Aye.
1602,
Motion approved.
motion by Cahoon, second by Melendez. 4, all those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, and now we're getting ready for public comment. Thank you, everybody, for being.
For 1602, it was a motion by Cahoon, a second by who?
Melendez.
Thank you.
You're welcome. It is 8:32. Let me just gonna give myself a round of applause. Janet Moody. Okay, Janet Moody, public comments. You can go ahead and make your comment, and then it seems like some folks need a recess, so we'll take a recess after you.
Well, I can wait.
I'll wait for you.
Yeah.
I know what it is
You
to have
can
to go to
wait.
the bathroom and not get to.
Yeah.
I understand. So I brought my notebook, I wrote 4 different things, I typed something over the weekend, and then I'm still gonna get up here and say something completely different. By the way, I'm Janet Moody, and I am from Cocoa, Florida, and I teach 2nd grade at Narcoossee Elementary School. I am the Eastside Elementary representative and the chief negotiator for the instructional staff. I want to kind of clarify something because I think there's a misconception that I don't represent all teachers in this district, because I absolutely represent the teachers, even the ones that are not part of the union. My telephone number is public knowledge for anybody, and I talk all the way to school in the morning and all the way home in the afternoon, and I take calls all weekend. And I talk to as many teachers that are not a part of the union as I talk to that are a part of the union. I am a voice, and I try to be respectful using my voice, and I try to convey their messages to each of you, just like I think all of you listen to people, whether they're in your voting district or not. I think you listen to them, or I hope that you do, and hear what they have to say, because I want to keep an open mind and an open perspective of what all teachers in this district want, and that I'm representing education as best that I can. So each time I come up here and speak, my husband critiques me when I get home, and he tells me I need to speak more from the heart. So tonight I just want to say that with everything I wrote, I waited and I completely changed, because Ms. Castillo, when you spoke earlier tonight, when you were talking about changing the protocols, I instantly had a thought. I wrote it down. It said, it is empowering to feel someone has your back. Because when you started to speak, you looked over to Mr. Krumpenbacher and you got that okay from him that he had your back. And I thought, wow, that was very empowering. It gave you the courage to say what you wanted to say and be powerful in your message that you want this board to work together. And so I thought that was free. It didn't cost anything. Imagine if you guys would empower the teachers and the educators, the ESPs, all of the employees in this district with the same kind of power of we've got your back. Instead of that quibbling and things that go on that we don't really want to be a part of. We just want to educate children in this district. We want to provide them with a good school. We want to be safe with them. I had an ESC teacher reach out to me and said, I thought we were going to form a committee because we're losing our ESC teachers, we're losing our paraprofessionals. They don't feel safe in the classroom because they don't feel that there's enough hands on deck. They feel like that when we pulled some of the staff here at the district to put back in other places, that it took away something that they needed that helped give them some relief and some comfort. So I'm asking you guys to think about those words, being empowered, knowing that somebody has your back. So please have our backs. Okay?
Thank you so much, Ms. Moody. We are going to go to a 5-minute recess. A healthy amount. Colleen, you will be next. We'll take a 5-minute break if we can be back at 41 after the hour. Colleen Schmidt.
Hi, my name is Colleen Schmidt, 1114 Tapestry Drive, Kissimmee. I came up to speak about two different issues. The first one I want to mention is the cost of living raise that the union had requested in negotiations. I am new to being a representative of my school in the union, so I'm just kind of getting how things work and learning. And I was surprised that a bonus would be offered instead of maybe a smaller cost of living raise. And I'm just really concerned about the loss of teachers, the fact that we have new schools that we're going to need to fill with teachers and staff. And I don't know if you're aware, but other counties that border us are building new schools as well. And you need to compete with them to keep the staff. And for example, I happen to know the art supervising teacher woman in Orange County, and she came right out and said, I will take you in Orange County and pay you more money. And I don't want to do that. I would like to remain in the county that I reside in, but you know, if it comes down to financially, I work this job, I work a weekend job, my husband works 2 jobs. Financially, the cost of everything is going up, and we really need to compete with the districts around us and at least meet what they're doing, if not exceed, in order to keep the talent that we have. We heard amazing things at the beginning of the meeting about what is going on in our schools, and it's great to hear. But if we want to continue with that and even build on that, we need to pay people so they can afford to stay in county. The other thing is I was really heartbroken in the last couple weeks to learn about the situation with classroom libraries. I've been teaching over 25 years, and with my own money, I've built an extensive classroom library. And I know that this is not your doing. I know this is a state law that has come into play. It's just heartbreaking because, unfortunately, a lot of the books that I have, like Tommy DePolo's The Art Class, is not necessarily in the library in the school because of the rule that the books have to be current in the library. I guess within 10 years is what I've heard. Because of that rule, a lot of the school libraries don't have those kind of classic books that teachers might have in their room available for students to read. So I'm going to have to bring all that home. I have books about artists made for children. I have books that illustrate how to do different drawings. I have books for drawing. I'm sorry, am I past?
Yes.
I'm sorry.
No, you're fine, thank you.
I wasn't, it should be up here.
A lot of people have said that. You're not the first one to say that.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
All right, thank you.
Yes.
Like a little time.
Yeah, we need to put a timer on that. Yeah. Okay, Connie Maynahem. Okay.
Touch it like go. Okay. Connie Minahem, a teacher, CCK8. So when CCK8 opened, I proposed to my administration that we start a PTA. Without hesitation, they allowed it. And with the help of some amazing parents, we've gone from making $17,000 our first year to raising over $74,000 the first half of this year alone. Every penny goes straight back to the students through teacher grants, club grants, our Eagle Squad Dad program that encourages more fathers to be engaged in our school's volunteer programs. We sponsored huge portions of our family literacy night, kindness night, teacher appreciation gifts, etc. Our focus this year is community, and our amazing parents have been working since November on planning a carnival for all of our K-8 students, their families, and the community. However, when we started the process of renting the facility through Facilitron, we called the district to make sure that all we had to do was follow the rules laid out in the Facilitron contract
and use district-approved vendors. What has ensued since January 4th has been completely frustrating and unprofessional. We have made countless calls, have been rerouted to countless individuals in every department of the district looking for answers on what the, quote, internal rules that supersede the ones from Facilitron. When I asked for the copy of these rules, I was told that the only thing they could tell me is that we are not allowed to have inflatables or anything that could potentially be unsafe is also a no. Nobody at district through my many calls and many other parent calls have been able to tell us what potentially unsafe is. We continued calling multiple people, and every time we have been unable to get an answer. One morning I received a call back from a woman at the district office, and when asked if she had listened to my messages, she replied, "How could I listen to your message when I was in the bathroom?" and proceeded to speak in a demeaning tone and annoyance for the entirety of our conversation. She never called back to give us answers to our questions. At one point we were told by someone that oversees quite a bit of the district that they would reach out to the old superintendent of operations to find out the rules. I was told we should have started planning sooner. We started planning at the beginning of December. I was told that the reason I see other schools on Facebook having carnivals using bungees, rock walls, inflatables is because those are school district approved vendors. The vendors we are using are also a school district vendor, and our PTA is a separate entity from the school that has our own $1 million liability insurance policy, as well as the backing and security of the Florida PTA and National PTA. I explained this when asked to send an email, and was asked to send an email to this person, but then this person never got back to us with many others. We were finally put in touch with, am I allowed to say names? I don't know.
Is it the name you have on here?
Yeah, one of them. I was finally put in touch with Mr. Noble, who's unable to give us an answer until February 10th, and admitted that there are no rules and everything is decided on a case-by-case basis, and he cannot even tell us what guidelines they go by. Huh?
Thank you for your comments. Dr. Pace, would you mind please following up with her specifically on that issue? Absolutely. Thank you. Renee Navarre?
Hi, my name is Renee Navarre. I'm a fifth grade teacher here in the district. I want to give this board an idea of my current reality. I currently cannot afford to live in a one-bedroom apartment by myself. I drive a 2009 car with over 214,000 miles on it that leaks when it rains. I have zero in savings and mounting credit card debt. And why am I in this predicament? Because I decided to be a teacher. Teaching is what I love to do, and frankly, I'm really good at it. I mean, last year I was one of your top 10 teachers of the year. I have had the highest scores in math the past 2 years across the district, led my team to be 30% higher in proficiency than the state, 40% higher than proficiency than the district. Science, I've been also at the top of the district every year. 91% of my students are proficient in science and ready to go on to the next school level. That is leaps and bounds beyond what any other fifth grade has done in this district. But starting next year, I won't be here. Not because of my admin, they're amazing. Not because of my students, and not because of those certifications that y'all talked about one meeting. It's because I can't afford to live. I've worked side by side by one of you on this board. I've been one of your children's teachers. And I can't afford to live because you won't approve a cost of living adjustment. I'm not a face you see at every meeting, but I'm at school from the start to the end of the day. I work Saturdays. I am a single female with no children that cannot afford to live. And I'm a dang good teacher. And you're gonna lose me by the end of this year. And think of the countless children that I have pushed through my classroom to be more successful than almost any school in this entire district. Thank you.
Chris Fontenot?
It's really tough to follow that. So I submitted a public records request for a count of certified teachers by class, grade, and school, and I was told that this information was not available unless I wanted to spend over $12,000 to get redacted class rosters. That seems a little unreasonable and hard to imagine. The school district has no reports that provide the number of students in each class assigned to a teacher by school. It makes it a little difficult to really assess actual class size counts instead of class size averages, when many teachers I've spoken to have said the class size average is not a true measure of actual classroom student-to-teacher ratios. The lack of transparency surrounding this issue is very disheartening and it's disappointing. I also want to address, excuse me, a little bit more about what I spoke about earlier. I think there may have been a disconnect with the Florida Department of Education because they probably didn't vet the sessions. It's interesting to hear the other 9 session descriptions weren't available unless they were registered. So where did they see these breakout sessions? I searched the entire website, including the site index, and the 9 sessions on the memo that Dr. Pace listed were not listed anywhere that I could find. So either someone's not being truthful or something else, I guess. So why would the district approve funds to be spent on something that you can't get any information for? It just doesn't really make any sense to me. So the office that processes the district public records requests is going to be pretty busy. Last, I have a suggestion. I think that the YouTube streams of these school board meetings, the public comment should be turned on, because all the people who watch those school board meetings that aren't able to actually be here for hours and hours and hours should still be able to have a voice in what's discussed. Thank you.
Dylan Rensel.
Good evening. My name is Dylan Rensel and I'm from St. Cloud. So, to be honest with you, I'm not overly excited to be here. I have a 5-month-old baby at home, and I'd much rather be there at home helping my wife put her to bed tonight. But I am here, and I'm here because I feel that there are some things that need to be fixed, and I believe that it's my duty as a taxpayer and a teacher in Osceola County to bring those things to your attention. One thing that I have learned when studying and watching how governments function is that the ones that do good work, that make changes for the betterment of people they represent, approach their constituents with humility, grace, and a courteous spirit. During the last meeting, I sat here, and when there was a motion to move the public comments to the beginning, for a moment I thought you were about to do the right thing. But unfortunately, that motion was voted down by a 3-2 vote, and I think the reasoning that was given had something to do with efficiency. But the real efficiency that matters is our ability to solve problems. And in pursuit of that efficiency, we should be taking as many perspectives as possible in order to get a clear picture of what we can improve as a district. I also want to say that when I come to these meetings, it's very good to see the great people in our district receiving awards, being recognized for years of service, and also I have enjoyed the performances of our talented students, especially the Under the Sea performance by our Pleasant Hill Elementary students tonight. I would imagine that the board and the chair puts those awards and performances at the beginning of the meeting to be courteous to our worthy award recipients and to our fantastic students. So I simply ask you to extend that courtesy to the people sitting behind me and to the people who decided to stay home because they couldn't take time out of their day to wait 3 or 4 hours to get 3 minutes to talk to you. Thank you.
Heidi Patterson.
Hello, I'm Heidi Patterson, Goycochea, St. Cloud. There are a handful of teachers and support staff who speak up here frequently, and we share our stories and our thoughts. But the truth is that we represent most of the instructional and support staff in the county. I have conversations with my colleagues on a regular basis across the district and have yet to speak to one that is satisfied with our current situation, especially as of late. The district may send out these surveys that paint a happy picture, but it's a facade. Teachers in this district are hanging by a thread, and I'm here to share some of the input I've received from a few of my colleagues because they can't be here due to working a second job, attending to their families, or because this public forum can be a bit intimidating. Not to mention, with public comments still at the very end of the meeting, thanks to 3 of our board members, some teachers are in bed at this time, especially my fellow high school teachers. However, I will not let their voices be stifled any longer, so here goes. Teachers are held to the highest standard of job performance and are compensated at the lowest standard. We live in cheap homes, drive cars into the ground, shop at Walmart and Goodwill for ourselves and our own children, sacrifice our health to stress, and are in constant fear of political backlash and public outrage, as well as the ever-present threat of being fired for any variety of outcomes we have little control over. We signed up for it based on the mythology of a higher calling and promises of higher pay. If we followed the rules, did what we were told, and stayed the course. Now I'm 5 years from retirement and feeling that I wasted my most productive years on this career where I was never reprimanded, always generated high scores, promised I was making a difference, and essentially did everything right. Except to realize sooner that I am nothing to the district and the board but a warm-bodied cog in a well-fed machine that pays only in pennies and platitudes. Now I'll go to my classroom and make the kids feel safe and heard while keeping them inspired, motivated, productive, and successful. Another colleague states, I've been an educator for almost 14 years in Florida and New York. I love teaching and I've always wanted to be a teacher. It's never been about the money for me because, as you know, teachers do not get paid very well. The cost of living in Florida is increasing and unfortunately my pay has not. I am struggling to pay rent and my rent is increasing next month. I am reconsidering my career path because I am not making enough money to support myself and be able to save for a house. And this is the last I will share tonight from a colleague. A gentleman stated at the last meeting I attended that the cost of living in Osceola County has increased about 30% since 2011, yet my salary has not matched that. In fact, it took me 10 years in the district just to get my salary within 150 of my Michigan 2010 salary. That's sad, but I digress. Since inflation is insane and the cost of everything continues to rise and my salary is not in line with that, I have had to take on a second job. So after a full day of teaching, I then go to a second job and continue working until close. Thank you so much for willingly contributing to this added responsibility to my already large list when you are in the position to ease the stress, worry, anxiety, and exhaustion of so many of us. As I conclude tonight, I ask the school board, please learn to work together and don't rely on the district as your only source of information.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mark Kessler.
Don't start the 3 minutes there, Terry, because I got to give this to Ms. Culver.
Thank you, Mr. Kessler.
Hey, I try to come prepared, you know. Good evening. My name is Mark Kessler. I reside here in St. Cloud. I stand here before you tonight, as some of my other colleagues, about the 8.7% cost of living. I have 2 proposals that I want to present to you that's kind of like outside the box. As I gave here up front, you can see I kind of did a little breakdown. It might not be exact, but it's kind of like a little rough estimate. So here I go. My first proposal I call is called a 2-step approach. In this approach, I want you to take in consideration only those teachers who have taught for 2 years, all the way up to 14 years. Because as you know, Governor DeSantis already gave those first-year teachers a raise. So why should we consider them? Those teachers that have 2 to 14 years experience, let's give them a 3% raise I'm asking for. So for example, if my number is right, a $49,500 for, let's say, for a 14-year teacher, if you take that, you can see all the math that I did and I came up with, I was told by the OCA that there's about 1,900 teachers that are in that range. And so when you get all that, and I took a 13.65% tax break, I said, you're going to say it's $2,436,370 for those teachers. Now let's talk about my salary. I make $59,050 for 28 years of service. I'm asking that you give those people that are 15 years or more a 5.7%. That comes out to, you can see, $3,365.85. But when you take in consideration my tax break that I put in there and everything like that, it basically, you're going to get like $2,900. And then when I was told by the OCA we have approximately 1,265 teachers that range in that from 15 and up, that gives us $3,676,608.65. So when you add those two together, here's the number you come up with, which is $6,112,978.65 out of the budget. Now here's my second proposal. You look on the back, it's a 4-step approach for 4 years. Basically, all I'm asking is, hey, if you can't consider that one, hey, let's consider this one. This is over a 4-year span. You give us 2% for the first 3 years, okay? And when you do that, and then you're going to give us a 2.7% raise for the 4th year. So again, let's take my salary of $59,000.
Thank you for providing these sheets for your time is up.
Madam Chair, can I, is this a union proposal you're giving me?
No.
No.
No, just.
This is just my proposal.
Just his,
Thank
yeah.
But can I just say one more thing?
Thank you, Miss, I have to be, I have 5 other people on in 2 minutes. But I'll,
Okay.
I can stay after and we can chat if you want.
That's
You don't
okay.
want- Got it, I understand. No, clearly. Ruth Nelson?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Ruth Nelson, 26-year teacher here in the county. I want to read something that I want you guys to think about with the insulting offer of the $1,000 non-recurring stipend, as I like to call it. On our county website, under employees, I want to read what's up there and see if you agree with this. The 7,300 people employed in our schools and departments represent the Osceola School District's most valuable asset. Their dedication to children show as they work tirelessly in their many roles to improve and expand educational programs and services. Each and every day, Osceola educators inspire and engage our children to strive for achievement. The true strength of the Osceola School District can be seen in the caring and dedicated faces of its many employees who always find a way to do what is best for our children. The Osceola County School District believes that a major component of ensuring high student achievement is providing excellent customer service to each and every stakeholder. When you, as a parent, a school partner, or a visitor, interact with an Osceola School District employee, you can expect our very best in courtesy and respect, communication, responsiveness, and environment. None of that which is given to teachers when we're talking about a raise. As my colleagues have said, they can't afford to live. Now let's talk about insurance and what we want to do on that. You want to raise insurance every month for our premiums, yet we've been saving money on our new insurance. But let's raise it. Why are we raising it for the past 2 years? You've given us a break for one payment of our dues, our premiums, and for 2 years or more, you've contributed $250 to the FSA. Remember, we're saving money with our new company. Tell me how this is an asset. Tell me how you are showing us that we're respected. Because we can ask my colleagues here and any teacher. Thank you, Ms. Booth and Ms. Cahoon, and Ms. Castillo, for denying putting the comments first. You have done your job on telling every teacher that you two just left the classroom, that you don't value us. I am at CCK8 every morning at 6:30. I work before care, I work tutoring, I'm there till 5:30 at night teaching, a second job there. I have 41 seconds in which I want to add one comment. Dr. Pace, I'm sorry to do this to you, but I am. In your email that you sent to me on November 18th, 2022 at 10:54 in the morning, a response to an email I sent to you, I am going to quote what you said in there.
I hope you quote my response when you brought that to my attention.
I am going to. I can read the whole thing if you'd like me to. Do I have extra time? Am I allowed extra time to read the whole thing as requested?
Well, I will allow you 20 more seconds.
Well, I'm going to need to read her entire email here. I called her out on a comment that she made to me, and I will share the whole email with everybody if you'd like to send it, and I can give it to the news too if that needs to be done. I'm so glad, Ruth, that you reached out to me with your concerns. I'm so sorry that you found my comment insulting or offensive. That was absolutely not my intention. I am just sensitive to how hard you work at everything you do, and I was truly happy to see you engaging with our guests at the Choice Fair. I hope that you will accept my apology and my commitment to being more reflective before I speak. Here's what I wanted to do. I didn't need all of that. Here's what I wanted to say. I do hope we can continue to address salary needs for our educators and staff. I'm not done yet.
Would you mind please sending us a comment?
Sure, so that one job will be enough.
I understand.
I understand too, but she asked me to read it in its entirety.
You have stated that you will send the comments to us, correct? So we
Yes.
will be able to read.
Yes, evidently we're afraid to let people hear how bad teachers are treated in this district.
You
let her interrupt her.
And I give her an extra 20 seconds because of that.
But everybody wants to hear it. It's okay for you to go over 3 minutes.
Well, it might not be. It might not be in the next.
Oh, but you do quite frequently, ma'am. With all respect, quite frequently.
Thank you so much. I appreciate your comments. I'm sure you do.
I'm sure you do. 26 years of service for this county.
May I read
Look
that?
what we show.
Can we pass it?
You need to go up there and tell us what.
Miss-
Yeah, come on up. Let's go.
Mr. Kroppenbacher, thank you all for your comments. Please continue with 18.01.
Members of the board, if you recall, you all learned about the Tilpa Galaga High School field having problems. I believe it was Mr. Melendez who suggested staff reach out to see if we could get people. They did that, and the architects, Schenkel and Schultz, have stepped up and said they would do it for us to engineer it so the problem was solved. The one thing they want is us to execute an appropriate release that they're not going to be liable
Forever, never, never.
for their helping us. It's like a doctor. Sometimes if you're screwed up by a doctor, the next doctor says, I'm either not touching you or you're releasing you, because if you continue to have problems, you're not going to blame it on me. So if the board gives me the go-ahead, I'll draft an appropriate release of them for helping us to do it. And they have every reason to do it perfectly because they do a lot of business with the district.
But that's an honorable thing.
Okay, so Madam Chair, if you could get a consensus from the board, I'll draft an appropriate document.
Is anybody opposed? Okay, thank you.
The motion in a second.
Motion to approve. Motion by Board Member Cahoon.
Second.
Second by Board Member Melendez. Board, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, thank you. Mr. Koppenbacher, I do apologize. Would you mind if I put a pin on your comments? I did miss somebody.
Absolutely
in the
fine.
Comments. Mr. Garris? Thank you.
Thanks, Mr. Koppenbacher. Okay. Craig Garris, 3203 Lake Erie Drive here in St. Cloud. Tonight I want to address the board on just a couple of issues, mostly focused on value and priorities. Staff feels valuable when recognition is given. Certainly OCA's negotiation team has asked this board to prioritize compensation for our instructional and support staffs. As treasurer of OCEA, when formulating our budget for this year, I knew ahead of time that our staff would expect to be shown how much we value their efforts in their paychecks. Board, you might be surprised to learn that before I brought all of this passion into my classroom, I first brought it to successfully building teams in the outlet retail field. During my decade of service to my company, I faced not only one, but 2 bankruptcies. During that time, my employees were court-mandated raises because we knew the value of our talent pool. This board and their raises of real money don't even stay on pace with those raises that were given in the 1990s. Is it any wonder that the morale really is terrible in many schools? By the way, that data that was presented to you last meeting, it's stale data. It's not current. It was taken months before it was presented to you. Board members, right now, staff in our schools are feeling the pressure to take a mental health training. This training that is state mandated 80% completion by the beginning of next year. Teachers are showing up on Saturdays. My issue with that, they're only getting paid a $100 stipend. That's less than half of what their rate would be if they had a substitute. We can't get enough subs to cover to make us be able to do that mental health training. Our teachers and our support personnel deserve real recognition, and we need you to make them a priority and truly valued. Thank you.
Members of the board, the next item is approval of the release of the Celebration Island Performance Bond. When we negotiated the resolution to a number of issues, the building of the new school, we required as part of the deal that they post an $8,579,266 bond to assure they did all the work they were supposed to do. I've been advised by Facilities Department and by Finance, all conditions have been performed, and they're asking for a release of the bond. I do not think we have the authority to release it unless the board votes to release it. There is now no reason to hold on to this bond based upon staff's representation.
Thank you, board.
I'm sorry, just for understanding, what's the bond for? Is it like, is it like a performance bond, or is it like?
Remember, they had to build a whole site, get things ready, rearrange roads, do a number of things. And so they posted a performance bond to assure that everything they were supposed to do, they would get done. Dave, am I summing it up pretty correctly? Okay.
Now, is there a way to evaluate if they did it?
They did it all.
Okay.
Dave and the facility, and Mr. Clinch told me they did it all, and they wrote me, they did it all, the staff. So it's my recommendation we release it based upon our staff telling us it was all done properly and they've done what they were supposed to do.
So is this the last hurdle then for Oxford to finally get in the path?
Well, this
to
is
get
the
built?
celebration.
I'm getting dyslexic, I'm sorry.
That's the next thing. That's what
I got
you-
dyslexic,
Yeah.
I'm like, I apologize, I'm totally, it's late, I messed up, I didn't feel like, I'm sorry.
Which was that? Wait, 1 second, I'm so sorry, Ms. Cahill, we have someone else that's on the, well, have a motion by Board Member Cahoon. I need a second, and then Mr. Regoy has a comment.
I didn't have a comment.
You're like, okay, second. Okay. Second by Board Member Booth. Board, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The next item is, let me discuss with you about Oxford. When the deal was done on Oxford with Tupperware, our outside consulting engineer architects advised us that the South Florida Water Management District had given the nod that they would approve giving us a portion of the wetland and releasing it to us to build a road that provided a back exit for Oxford. Right. Subsequent to that, the new leadership or someone, after the hurricane went, no, we're not doing it. Dr. Pace, we drafted a very careful letter for her to both the chairman and the executive director of the South Florida Water Management District, which Dr. Pace, I think, is probably close to 2 months old now, and they have never responded. We would like you to approve tonight this resolution of necessity, which would be, and you have with it what's required for a condemnation, an alternative analysis, which a lot of work went in from a number of people to get done, that we would then send to the general counsel and say, we really don't want to have to file this, but could we sit down and get this. Tupperware, because they've cut some deals with apartment developers that they need to have a road, sent us some plans, but those plans involve dealing with South Florida thing also, and it doesn't work for us. All of that said, if we ended up filing, I can tell you, it comes down to the local judge deciding whose public purpose is more important here. The back road for the exit buses or this portion of wetlands. And we're prepared to trade them land elsewhere. They do that a lot, you know. But they've been unresponsive, so we're losing time, and we've got to draw it to a head one way or the other. And the whole deal was predicated, we're involved this. Dave is working on what may be an alternative. We can't bank on it right now, so we kind of want to nudge them and see how they respond.
A motion to approve.
I have a motion by by Board Member Arguello. Do I have a second? Second by Board Member Booth, with a comment by Mr. Melendez.
I wasn't here at the beginning when this was happening. What's the essence? Is it that South Florida Water Management won't give us authority to build a road on a water management? So now we're looking at an alternate access to loop into Tupperware's property, so we're asking for Tupperware to allow us to get part of their property, kind of like an easement to travel against it?
They originally said they would vacate the sliver we needed to put the road in. And we'd work out an exchange if they wanted that. They then said, no, we're not doing anything. We believe it's because after the hurricane, they just shut down on dealing with anything with wetlands because so much water was everywhere.
But that's not Tupperware, that's.
Yeah, that's not Tupperware, that's.
Oh, see, I was under the impression that you were saying
Yeah, no,
Tupperware. I thought
no,
that
no.
exactly said it was
Tupperware,
water
we
management.
got an obligation. They're very much tied into an obligation to us under this, and so Dave's working really hard on his end with Rhonda to come up with an alternative, and we're going this way. This is the ideal alternative.
Right.
All right?
Is there no way to like build like a mini bridge or something like that? I know it might sound more expensive or something.
Yeah.
Not like a huge
You go
one,
over a wetland and a bridge, we're talking probably more than what a high school would cost us.
Okay.
All right, I remember when the Expressway Authority here was dealing with building that expressway, and I was their attorney. There's a lot of money when you start dealing with that, but we're hoping this just forces them to say, okay, let's deal with this.
So the issue's not with Tupperware, the issue's with South Florida.
No, it isn't right now.
That's it.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. Board, all those in favor? Aye. Thank you. Next.
18.04, I advised the superintendent that we needed the board to approve the written agreement between the Florida School Boards Association and the School Board of Osceola County. You already said that you wanted to hire them. They then provided me this written agreement, and I need a motion to approve it. Second.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by Board Member Cahill, second by Board Member Melendez. Board, all those in favor? Aye. Thank you.
One final item, members of the board.
I don't see
Earlier,
that on the agenda.
it's attorney comments,
All right.
1805.
All right, fine.
Earlier in public speaking, a woman came, I don't know her name, to talk about the blow-ups and extracurricular activity. Mr. Noble's been working with her. There's an email to her on the 2nd and the 5th of this month telling you it would be the end of this week. And here's the reason. What wasn't said was it's not just blow-ups. She wants to bring in carnival rides, all right? We've never had carnival rides. So what we did was we reached out to Seminole, called Seminole County, and I checked around, who has a policy on this stuff? Because we don't have one. Seminole County had one. We're going over it in our Thursday meeting. If it works, we're gonna tell them, we think it works, but we have to have this approved by the board, right? We can't accommodate this. You're somebody coming in and saying, I want to do this, and you have to tell me I can do it by February, whatever date they pick, all right?
That did not happen.
That didn't happen.
Sorry.
Okay, I've
Okay.
asked Dr. Pace to look further into this, so
Well, I'm saving her a lot of time. That's where we're at on this issue right now.
Yeah.
He has been dealing with this and emailing and keeping the public, people involved apprised of where we are. And we said it would be by the end of this week. And we're gonna review now that we've got it from Seminole on Thursday.
Thank you. Dr. Pace, we look forward to your commitment to resolve this issue. Thank you for Mr. Poppenbacher, Mr. Noble. And is that it? Any more comments? Total
No,
comments,
no,
just
no.
making sure. And then under new business, we have the Safety and Security Committee communication and direction. Is that, Mr. Melendez, did you add that to the agenda?
Yeah, I think it was,
Both of you did.
yeah, I think it was to formally have another meeting so they can look at the revisions that we had done. I know the state statute made us make the changes, but we just wanted the committee to kind of look at it and give an opportunity to kind of see if they want to add something or just kind of review it. And I know it's a process, because if they want to add something, it's just merely a recommendation body. It has to come back to us, and go through the whole school board rules and policies and everything else like that.
So are you asking that we call a meeting of the Safety and Security Committee?
Yeah, well, I guess they can do it on their own, but yeah. But just some, I don't even know why we put it here, but, because I thought it was already, no, because I thought it was automatically being put on there, like for them, not for on our agenda. I meant for the school safety's agenda.
Okay, good, so we've
So I think that was a
discussed it.
miscommunication. It wasn't for us to give them permission to speak about what they want to speak about. It was for the school safety committee to place it on their agenda to talk about their.
Understood, so we can communicate that, yes.
Just for the record, so that there's transparency on Ms. Manningham's part, before she did public comment, she did submit all of the emails that have been going back and forth.
Got it,
I just have the one copy, but they are public record.
sure.
So they will go into the board packet, but
Oh,
just so she
yeah.
knows that I told all of you
Okay.
that she did submit these.
Got it,
So
thank
They are
you.
here.
Yes,
It's between everybody she's been dealing with.
understood, thank you for clearing that up. And it sounds like we have some resolution on 20.01?
Yep.
Is that correct?
Yep.
All right, thank you team, meeting adjourned.